will come to our meetings so that we will have a lot of share and we can capture all of the things, especially the important one, the technical content of the tools and the women economic empowerment issues. We would love to thank you for your timely arrival.
Chào cô Cường, lâu lắm không gặp Cường, không gặp cô ạ. Vâng.
Đang quan tâm đến cái bộ công cụ về nâng cao quyền năng kinh tế cho phụ nữ.
One participant said that they really care about the sharing of the tools in order to know more about how to manage the gender issue in the AVCs. It is a really great tool for everyone to know. Currently in Germany and the EU, they have certain regulations regarding the use and application of gender awareness and women resolution. So that in order to enter the market, it is better for us to capture and understand this. At the moment, the women economic empowerment is not something nice to have anymore. It is some necessary component, and all enterprises should be aware of this. And it is a good leverage, a good progress of the women economic movement. And in order to understand this tool, the way we understand this tool will help us a lot in order to have a practical and effective way in order to improve our understanding and our way of doing things. Today we are going to have the speaking with 4 enterprises which pilots in the use of the WEE tools. At the moment we have 51 participants, and we love to start the talk today, and we really hope for your joining and for your sticking with us during the talk. Besides CSIP, we have been working for so many years with the IC, that is the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Southeast Asia, and with the headquarters in Philippines. CSIP and IC has been partnered for so many years in order to develop and refine the tools to improve the women's position in the AVCs. After a long break due to the COVID-19, there is some constraint, but we make every effort in order to successfully complete the project and its components. This talk will be an event for us to share the experience and to have a deep discussion regarding the WEE and the BTP tools. Beforehand, we wish to make some introduction regarding speakers of our events today, as well as the persons and organizations that make this happen of the project. We'd love to introduce Mrs. Mary-Lisa Dakanesh, who is the president of IC. She is the initiator who is dedicated to WEE, and that is the reason why she and many other stakeholders has advocated to develop the tools and execute the application of the tool within gender development projects. Besides ISEA, there will be other colleagues. That is Miss Seth Darkane, who is the gender specialist, and Miss Kathy, who is the facilitator and enabler of this event. from the Venice side,
hôm nay cùng với tôi là Phạm Kiều Anh, là giám đốc của trung tâm
besides
vụ đột
me, Phạm Kiều Anh, who is the director of CSIP, we will have a gender specialist. That's the lead of the expert, Mr. Lê Văn Sơn. He is currently have some other conflicting schedule. She will join us later. I'm really happy to welcome and thank you so much the participation of 4 enterprise speakers who are in charge of their enterprise to participate in this project to pilot the tool and the reaction plan. That's Mr. Đỗ Tiến Sĩ, President of Travel Sapa, Ms. Phương Anh, the Director of Vinming, Mrs. And Ms. Phương Linh, who is the certification quality control manager of Minasamex. We would love to express our sincere appreciation for your participation in this and your speak up and sharing your actual experience in using this tool in their own enterprise. In order to have everyone around here have a snapshot, have a general understanding of the project, we would love to make some introduction of the GRAISEA 2 and its components, the BTP WEE train. CSIP, we the implementer. We'd love to introduce ourselves as a Vietnamese-based not-for-profit and in science technology organization working to promote the development of social enterprises and social initiatives. And we wish to every social initiatives and social enterprise to be nurtured, grown up, properly invested, so as to build a diverse, fair and prosperous ASEAN community. For 15 years of development, CSIP is lucky enough to be with more than 300 social enterprises and social impact business, and which create 15,000 jobs directly and indirectly, as well as improving the life of over 700,000 marginalized people. And one of the great things that we are happy to share with everyone around here is that 80% of the enterprises supported by CSIP has achieved significant changes in charge of the scale of the management skills and capacity, which is a great pride that we love to share. Regarding this project, the name of this project is the WEE training in AVC, that is the Transformative Responsive Business Investment in Southeast Asia. And under the GRAISEA, we have a component named the Women's Economic Empowerment Transformational Initiatives in Agriculture Value Chains. And the objective of this project is to empower women and men participating in agriculture value chain, and especially the WEE train. We promote the benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in the AVCs. It means agriculture value chains. And the BTP WEE in AVCs is a tools and a set of support in order to support the social impact businesses, social enterprises, and small and medium enterprises to do better in promoting the position of women and to empower women. This project has been lasted for 2 phases, and the latest phase is the phase 2 from the 2018 to 2023. And the main beneficiaries of this project is the social enterprises and social impact businesses who are working with men and women in small scale producers or households. And we'd love to introduce our project stakeholders who are
Ờ,
the
chúng tôi được xin
this project is
thứ
led
nhất là
by the
đến
Institute for Social
các
Entrepreneurship
đoàn
in
viện trợ hỗ
Asia
trợ là tổ chức là
and
Oxfam và đại
in
diện của
Vietnam
Việt tại
as the
Bangkok.
country partner, that is the Center for Social
Vâng,
Initiatives
ở
Promotion.
đây thì
And
các
this
chị đã thể
project
hiện được
is
là
supported and
trong
financed
cái giai đoạn
by
chuẩn bị dự
program
án thì
Oxfam and
trong cái
MSF
giai đoạn mà
Sweden
đã
in
giai đoạn
Bangkok.
đầu thì chúng tôi tập trung nhiều vào cái việc là làm sao mà chúng ta có thể xây dựng được cái
Uh,
bộ cơ sở lý luận
this
từ
project
cây xanh
has
để xây dựng
three
project.
phases.
Và ở giai
The
đoạn thứ
first
hai chúng ta
phase
sẽ giai
is
đoạn triển
to
khai bộ
assist
kế hoạch
the
đó.
SEs and
Ở
SMEs to
phía Nam
undertake
thì
action
chúng tôi
research
có triển
to
khai các
study
project
the
với
gender
những cái doanh nghiệp
differentiated
như vừa rồi
impact
chúng
of
tôi cũng đã
COVID-19 on the
đồng
women
họp
and
với
men
lại phần
small
tọa đàm
scale
chúng ta sẽ có
producers
cái cơ hội
and their
để
supply
gặp gỡ
communities and
chính phủ
how
cũng
they're
như doanh nghiệp
recovering
này.
post COVID-19.
Các hoạt động
And the
của
phase
dự án
two,
thì chúng tôi cũng
we
sẽ
pilot
cái hoạt động đầu
the
tiên
tool
đó là
BTP WEE in
công cụ và làm
AVCs
sao để bảng dự
for the
toán nó
four
phù hợp
SMEs in
với
Vietnam. We are going to
cái
meet
nhu
them the
cầu
next.
của sử dụng của
And the
người
last
làm
one is the
tại cái
action
từng dự án.
consulting to
Nó sẽ có
assist
một cái lộ trình
the
cụ thể và đảm
SMEs
bảo tập
to
trung
implement the
về đo
project.
lường tác động và về cái năng
About
lực đánh giá.
the project
Và chúng tôi cũng
activity,
đã
there are
khi đại diện
8
Bangkok đến thì
in
chúng tôi
general.
cũng đã cùng với
The
cả
most of them
4 quốc
are
gia
the
đều triển
6 or
khai được
8,
các nhiệm
that
vụ
is
về tác động của
to
đại dịch Covid đến
improving
khu vực
and
Nam giới với các
localizing the
vùng nghèo và
project.
phát triển nông nghiệp.
Uh,
Sau đó thì dựa trên những kết quả nghiên cứu và công cụ đó thì
and
có
we
thể
have
tập huấn
some
cho các doanh
action
nghiệp
research
và
to
đồng
study the
thời
impact
đó
of the
là cái
COVID-19
hoạt
on
động
women
liên
and
quan
men
đến thử
small
nghiệm
scale
giúp cho
producers
các doanh nghiệp này
engaged
xây
in
dựng
an
cái plan
ABCs for
và
four participating
triển khai nó
SIBs.
trên thực tế. Và cũng
We
vừa rồi
also
thì
did
chúng tôi
the
đã
WE training, that is
hai
a
cái nghiên cứu
collective
trình hợp điển
training
hình của cái
for like
cái sự hợp tác doanh nghiệp
20
trong việc dùng
enterprises
bộ công cụ BTP WEE và sau một năm triển khai
to
cái dự án này.
understand the WE BTP
Thế thì
tools.
là cũng xin chia
And the
sẻ như
most
vậy
part
với
of this
cả
is the
các
service
chị.
package,
Thì
named
tại cái
in
dự
order
án
to
là
consult
chúng tôi
the
cũng đã diễn
WE
ra cái
planning
kết
for
quả
the
của dự
four
án thì mặc dù dự
participating
án cũng diễn ra
SIBs.
trong một giai đoạn cũng khá là ngắn
That
làm
is to
sao
make them
qua một giai đoạn
understand
rất là dài Covid thì 4
and
năm qua
applied it
chúng ta
in
đã
their
tham
own
gia
business and
những
operation.
cũng đã có những thay đổi rất là tích cực và thông qua những cái hoạt động mà gây dựng những cái WE plan thì nó đã đâu đó cũng đã đóng góp để
After
nền
the
cái gắn kết Việt Nam
implementation of the
tạo ra
four
những cái
of
lợi ích
the
tạo
WE
ra
plans
cho cái
activity,
quyền năng
as
kinh tế
well
cho
as
phụ nữ
the
và nam giới
rollout
trong các
of
mô
the
nhỏ
benchmarks
ở các vùng
and
có dự
the
án chương trình
WE
phát triển
tool,
nông nghiệp cho
we
khoảng
have
hơn 4.000 người và trong
delivered
đó thì cái số lượng người mà tham gia
the
trực tiếp vào
benefit
các hoạt động đào
to
tạo chuyên môn cũng như
4,000
nghiên cứu
beneficiaries,
chúng tôi là
including
140 người
smallholder
thì
farmers, female
hai cái giai
collaborators,
đoạn
and
nghiên cứu cũng
employees
đã được hoàn
in
thành.
four
Thì
SMEs.
đấy là cái
Also,
sơ
we
sơ
support
lược một
four
chút
pioneering
về cái tổ chức
SIBs
về
and
cũng là
engage
về dự án
140
và được
people
tổ chức
who are the
ISEA cùng với
business
cái SEA
leaders,
đã triển khai
managers,
trong
employers
thời gian vừa qua. Và hôm nay
to
thì
the
đã đến cái giai
capacity
đoạn mà
building
chúng tôi cũng
training
gần như đóng
on
gói
WE
lại
and the
cái dự
BTP
án này.
WE
Và
tool,
sau khi kết thúc
as well.
thì
We met
nó
to
sẽ là cái một
case
thời gian
study
ít thời
on
gian để làm việc với các
the
doanh nghiệp
WE
và nghiên cứu để
implementation
có thể đóng
of
gói lại
two
được một cái
enterprises
case study.
who
Thì hôm
has
nay có cái buổi
implemented
làm
the
trao đổi
WE
kinh nghiệm
tool
để
from
thực
the
hành sử dụng cái công cụ
2021.
nâng cao cái quyền năng kinh tế cho phụ nữ trong chuỗi giá trị nông nghiệp. Thì chúng tôi rất là vui mừng hôm nay chúng tôi
So
sẽ được là sẽ
as a
có
part
một
of
cái buổi
the
làm việc từ bây giờ
WE
cho đến
training
khoảng 5
ABCs,
giờ
we are
và
going
đây
to
là chương
have
trình
a
đã gửi
talk
đến các chị. Thì sau cái phần khai mạc
which
này
we
thì
have sent to
chỗ đại diện
you.
của CSIC
That's the
tôi
agenda of
thì
the
tôi sẽ
talk.
đây là có một
The
bài trình
main
bày vô cùng quan trọng
content of the talk
của
is
Marie
going to
Sadatene, chị là tiến
raise
sĩ
a
tiến sĩ
chance
visa
to
trưởng ngài chủ tịch của Tổ chức Doanh nhân Xã hội châu Á
raise a
IC
chance to
và
let
chính
everybody
những cái người
understand the
gọi
application of tools and as a
những cái người
exploration
có đóng góp rất lớn trong
experience
việc xây dựng
sharing
bộ công cụ
for everyone.
BTP WEE
And please take
trong
a
chuỗi
look
giá
at
trị nông
our
nghiệp.
agenda.
Thì chị Lisa sẽ có
And
cái
after
chia
my
sẻ những cái kết quả
presentation,
về
Miss
bộ công cụ
Lisa
cũng như
will
là chia sẻ
have
kinh nghiệm
some
của những cái chuyên
sharing
gia
on
tham gia
the
vào dự án này. Sau đó thì
benchmarks,
đến từ khoảng 3 giờ thì
as
anh
well as
Lý Văn Sơn
the
chuyên gia về quản lý
insights
và tư
and
vấn trưởng của dự
the
án
results,
thì sẽ có
the
một số
most
cách
significant
chị để
result
có thể
of
phát
the
triển và
project.
triển khai tại Việt Nam thì
Um,
đâu là những cái vấn đề
After
mà
Miss
chúng ta cần
Lisa,
phải lưu ý
there will be
cũng như là
the
nâng cao cái vision
presentation of Mr.
và đến các
Levinson,
cái phần
who
tọa
is the
đàm
lead
với cả
technical
bốn trụ cột
consultant
doanh nghiệp
of
và
our
tiếp đó là cái phần mà chúng ta đã
program.
có cái tọa đàm
And
rồi và rất mời các anh chị chúng ta cùng trao
he
đổi
will make a
và xem xem
presentation
là chúng ta
about the
có cái
country
công cụ
context
để
in
moving
Vietnam and
forward có thể
how,
sử dụng cái
what
bộ
and
công cụ
how
này như
is
thế nào
is
trong cái
in
bối
the
cảnh của các dự án, các chương trình
women
và
in
các tổ
the
chức mà chúng ta một
agriculture value chain and
có quan tâm
what
hay
we
không.
can do in order to
Vâng.
empower
Thì
and
đây là
leverage
các những
their
cái
position.
diễn giả và những người mà tham gia cái tọa đàm
After
hôm nay thì chúng
that,
tôi
we will
cũng một
have
lần nữa xin
a
thay mặt cho CSIP
a
và cho ban tổ
sharing
chức thì
of
rất
the
là gửi đến
four
anh chị
participating SIBs in this project, and we will have a open forum as well, which is a general talk among all of us, among the participations. Thank you so much for everyone again for coming to our project, and we wish very much to have your active contribution and comment during this talk. And now we would love to introduce Miss Lisa to share about the result, insights, and learnings from 3 countries on the transformation of benchmarks in agriculture value chain. Please, Miss Lisa, come to our podium.
Thank you very much, Juan. Can you hear me? Am I okay? Yes. So I shall be making a presentation on the piloting of the transformational benchmarks in agricultural value chains that Juan introduced. And I will be sharing with you some results and insights from the 3 countries where we piloted this initiative: in Vietnam, in Indonesia, and the Philippines. And let me start by sharing with you some stories of women's empowerment from social enterprises in agricultural value chains in Southeast Asia. The first story is about Imelda Cervantes in the Philippines. She used to be a landless agricultural worker, but through the efforts of the social enterprise Alter Trade, she became an entrepreneurial farmer leader of NOFTA, or the Negros Organic and Fair Trade Association, which is a federation of empowered supplier communities engaged in sustainable agriculture and fair trade. The next empowerment story is about Wasti in Indonesia. She used to be a powerless stripper of mussels, but now she is the chairperson of the ISM Sinar Abadi Cooperative that was organized by Dompet Duafa to actually produce mussels, do semi-processing of mussels, and marketing of stripped mussels. The third story is about Pin of Thailand. She used to be an assetless fish vendor, but now she's the head of a fish processing and slicing group of the Fisherfolk enterprise that is engaged in the harvesting and processing as well as marketing of formalin-free seafood. The fourth story is about Juanita Mamo. She used to be a voiceless indigenous woman in a male-dominated tribe, but now she is the elected chairperson of the Council of Elders of the Kulaman Manobo Dulangan organization, which is an indigenous peoples organization that is engaged in the production, processing, and marketing of their own brand of coffee. So these 4 stories of empowered women actually came from an action research under the GRAISEA project that Juan introduced to you. Next slide, please. This GRAISEA project was started in 2015, and we studied best practices of social enterprises and inclusive businesses, or what Juan calls social impact businesses, in agricultural value chains in the ASEAN region. And we answered the questions of how were these grassroots women that I showed you, or small producers, empowered, and how can agricultural value chain interventions contribute to building a critical mass of empowered grassroots women and small producers, like the examples I shared with you of Imelda, Wasti, Pin, and Juanita. So we did an action research in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and the most important results that answered these questions we put together the set of insights into a set of aspirational standards that we call the benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chains. Now, the benchmarks for transformational partnerships in agricultural value chains is actually a set of 8 principles that talk about, first, appropriate technology and community-based and oriented innovations, that in order for women and men small-scale producers to have access to markets, they need to be assisted with appropriate technology, and innovations need to be done in order for them to be helped to become significant and effective players in the value chain. The second principle is about the importance of providing more substantive share of value that is created over time, accruing to the small producers, that the small producers are not small producers of raw materials forever, but they are assisted to do processing and marketing over time. The third principle has to do with the promotion of food security and resilience, the importance of diversification, for example, of crops and income sources among producer communities. The fourth principle is about the empowerment of small producers, the importance for small producers to be organized and to be engaged as organized small producers so that they can together play a significant role in the value chain. And this is directly related to providing adequate transactional and transformational services delivered to the small producers. Transactional services are services that assist them to meet the requirements in terms of quantity, quality, and productivity of the market. Transformational services have to do with assisting them to become self-governing organizations of small producers. But there's also the principle of promoting stewardship and sustainable consumption and production among the small producers, so that you would see in many of the cases the involvement in GAP, the involvement in organic agriculture and sustainable agriculture and fisheries. The seventh principle has to do with women's participation and empowerment, that all throughout the value chain, that there needs to be a conscious effort to engage women as stakeholders of the value chain, because more often than not, when you talk about a farmer or a fisher, it is always a man. The woman is actually there in the value chain, but is not recognized. So it's important that women's participation and assisting them to become stakeholders and to be decision makers and to be participants in the value chain as and not only to participate, but to benefit equally with their male counterparts in the value chain is done. The eighth principle is about measurable outcomes of transformation, that the intervention with women and men small-scale producers are able to produce outcomes of transformation among women, among their small farmer producer groups, and among their small producer communities. So these 8 principles that we call the benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chains inspired the creation of a scorecard for different types of practitioners in agricultural value chains. We created a scorecard for corporations. We created a scorecard for agricultural value chain program holders. And we also created a scorecard for small and medium enterprises as well as social enterprises. The reason why we created these 3 types of scorecards is that the context of corporate agribusinesses, SMEs and social enterprises, as well as program holders of agricultural value chains are very different. So I'm sharing with you the benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chain scorecard for SMEs and social enterprises that was used actually for the piloting that we did in Vietnam and the other countries as well. And the first, so we translated the 8 principles into 4 elements in the scorecard, no? In order to take into account the context of SMEs and the context of social enterprises in as they actually try to implement the benchmarks. So the first element of the benchmark scorecard for SMEs and SEs is a commitment to make strategic investments in developing small producers as partner suppliers. So this is an investment to small producers, meaning to say that SMEs and social enterprises have a direct relationship with small producer communities rather than just buying from the traders. The second element of the benchmark scorecard has to do with development of strategic partnerships, a commitment to develop strategic partnerships with cooperatives, associations, and other self-governing organizations of small producers and their enablers, because it's important that SMEs and social enterprises do not just work with women and men small-scale producers individually, but as a group, as an organization that they can actually become self-governing and self-sustaining. A third element of the benchmark scorecard for SMEs and social enterprises is women's economic empowerment in the whole supply chain. This is about a commitment to develop and sustain initiatives that promote women's participation and women's economic empowerment in the supply chain and in communities. And then the fourth element of the scorecard is about responsible business outcomes, that the SMEs and social enterprises account for, link, and communicate measurable outcomes of its success as a responsible business to measurable outcomes of transformation among its partner small producers, including the women, their organizations, and communities. So the scorecard has 100 points, and investment to small producers has 20 points, commitment to strategic partnerships has 20 points, we and the supply chain has 40 points, and responsible business outcomes has 20 points. So all in all, the scorecard that actually assists as an SME or social enterprise to score itself in relation to the benchmarks scorecard has a total of 100 points. Next slide, please. So what we assist the SMEs and social enterprises to do is to make a score for them to score themselves on these elements. And there's a guide that we actually provide during a workshop that we work with them on. And if they get a score of 49 and below, they are a learner striver in relation to their overall score of practicing the benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic and empowerment in agricultural value chains. If they get a 50 to 74 score, they're a good transformational partner. If they get a score of 75 to 87, they're a very good transformational partner. And if they have a score of 88 to 100, they are a best practice and have an excellent transformational partnership practice. Next slide, please. We also have a scorecard interpretation for women's economic empowerment. So if in the score of 60, this is a total score of 60 because apart from the 40 score for we in the supply chain that I showed you in the scorecard, we is also an element in the 3 other elements of the scorecard. So if the SME or social enterprise gets a score of 30 and below, they are aware of women's economic empowerment. If they get a score of 31 to 46, they are a responsive enabler of women's economic empowerment. But if they get a score of 47 to 60, they are a transformative enabler of women's economic empowerment. So this is a score interpretation that we introduced. Next slide, please. So these are the sustainable development goals that social enterprises, inclusive businesses, agricultural value chain stakeholders, and government agencies adhering to the benchmarks contribute to. They contribute to zero poverty, no hunger, reduced inequality, decent jobs and inclusive growth, inclusive and sustainable industrialization and innovation, sustainable consumption and production, sustainable communities, and women's economic empowerment as a cross-cutting goal. Next slide, please. So I think Juan has already explained to you earlier how we engaged social enterprises and SMEs as well as corporate agribusinesses in adopting the benchmarks. So we helped them go through a baseline study, and then we helped them in an orientation planning workshop, and then we helped them with implementing their WEE plans. The scorecard that I introduced to you is used as basis for evaluation and as basis for planning. So depending on the score you make, you can actually improve your score. And the elements in the scorecard would show you the areas where you could actually make specific improvements. Next slide, please. Now, we did the piloting of this scorecard among 14 enterprises in various value chains that engage 70 to 3,000 small producer households, with an average of 3,000 small producer households per enterprise. I think Juan has already shared with you the outreach in Vietnam, but we also did this in Indonesia and the Philippines, and this is a list of the Indonesian and Philippine SMEs, SEs, and corporate agribusinesses that we engaged. Next slide, please. may I now share with you the observable changes among the enterprises that implementing the women's economic empowerment plans with the aid of the benchmarks that was used as a planning tool. No? So as far as we would note that in 6 to 12 months, these enterprises actually already made investments within the enterprise in terms of awareness raising on gender and women's economic empowerment, which included care work and instituting flexible working hours for women, because of course, women are actually experiencing unpaid care work. And so they were given flexible working hours by these enterprises. Another investment that was made was the conduct of gender analysis within the company and supply chain. So the enterprises were able to study where the women were and what their needs are, and they use this as input to program development for women in their value chain. Another investment that was made by the enterprises was developing a planning, monitoring, and evaluation system that captures indicators of women. So that's, for example, small producers are disaggregated into men and women. A fourth would be developing communication materials and stories of women in their value chain, and then development of survey tools for appropriate technology for women small producers. So, for example, in the case of Indonesia, there's an example where the appropriate technology to be introduced was actually to bring in carts to assist the women to hold their produce so that they don't have to have the burden of carrying them by themselves. The development of survey tools. So there was also the development and integration of gender and women's economic empowerment in modules for climate resiliency planning and as well as farm planning. Next slide, please. And other results in terms of policy and behavioral changes within the enterprise include observable increased consciousness on gender and women's economic empowerment among staff and the leadership of the enterprise, an explicit commitment of the enterprise leadership for the entrepreneurs themselves on gender and women's economic empowerment, and then gender equality and inclusion policies were put in place, like, for example, flexi time in recognition of the role of women in unpaid care work. And then there were also enterprises that reviewed and aligned their procurement policies to enhance their standard operating procedures so that they actually were able to define policies and strategies on how to better engage women in their value chain. And then in March 2022, there was also the acknowledgement of the leadership of women in their value chain during Women's Month. Another set of observable changes that was made in terms of the enterprises with vis-a-vis their small producer partners include investments made on capacity building, which resulted to increased confidence of women to take part in decision-making in the farm, in the household, and future endeavors of the family. Investments towards acquiring standard certification of products. So in Indonesia, for example, they introduced halal as a standard certification process. And then the conduct of a survey on appropriate technology and provision of simple appropriate technology to support women in their value chain. The setting up of climate resilience funds to finance the needs of farmers, especially women, to address the impacts of climate change. An example of this is rain shelters and typhoon barriers that were identified by the women as necessary for them to actually produce better. And then partnership building with government and other stakeholders to support climate resilience programs and other transformational services needed by small producers, because most of the time, the enterprise cannot actually afford to finance all the climate resilience programs and the needed services to improve services for women, for example, in their own context. So there's a need for partnership building with other stakeholders. Next slide, please. Other investments that were made and initial results among small producers also include increased awareness and appreciation of unpaid care work and care work as part of the teamwork philosophy among the women suppliers. So there was a higher awareness of this among the small producer suppliers themselves, and then the conduct of farm development planning involving women that resulted to a better understanding on ordering choices and purchase guarantees by the enterprise, as well as an appreciation of diversification of farm produce and marketability of products. So these are just some of the investments made and initial results among small producers, and I've already shared with you some initial results in relation to the enterprise itself. And these were the results of the piloting that we did in the 3 countries. And now some insights that we would like to share with you on the piloting of the benchmarks in the 3 countries, especially for those of you who may want to partner with us to actually practice the benchmarks in your own enterprise, is the importance of commitment of the enterprise leadership. No, without the commitment of the social entrepreneur or the entrepreneur himself or herself, it was not possible to actually implement the benchmarks as a planning, monitoring, and evaluation tool. Of course, the second is the best results in piloting the benchmarks were achieved when the entrepreneurs actually reviewed their policies and put in place policy enhancements as well as a strategy on how to consciously engage women in their value chain. A third insight is about the importance of capacity building of staff and enterprise team on women's economic empowerment as a prerequisite. No? This is needing to happen before they can effectively cascade women's economic empowerment as a perspective and as a program among partner supplier communities. The fourth insight is about the importance of partnership commitment of social enterprises, SMEs, and corporate agribusinesses towards their women and men small-scale producers to be translated into actual and adequate investments to enable small producers to become effective partner suppliers, delivering the needed quantity, quality, and timeliness of produce required by the market. What does this mean? This means that the responsibility to produce the quality, quantity, and timeliness of the produce required by the market is not just a responsibility of the small producers, but is a co-equal responsibility of the social enterprises, SMEs, and corporate agribusinesses that need to invest in capacity building in order to enable their small producer partners. Next slide, please. Lastly, we have other insights such as the importance of establishing partnerships with government, civil society organizations, academia, and other players in order to access resources for ensuring the delivery of women's economic empowerment interventions and other transformational services. For example, childcare services can be provided to assist women to participate in the agricultural value chain, which need not be a program that is financed by the enterprise, but it can be implemented in partnership with the local government unit. No? For example, the capacity building on women's economic empowerment is something that can be implemented with a civil society organization, or the academe can actually assist with the studies required on women's economic empowerment in the agricultural value chain. And then the last insight that I'd like to share with you is that during the pandemic, there was actually many social enterprises, SMEs, and corporate agribusiness and agricultural value chains were negatively affected, so that women's economic empowerment interventions that are needed towards the practice of the benchmarks, if they are actually introduced with SMEs, SEs, and corporate agribusinesses, we need to take into account that many of these enterprises are still undergoing recovery initiatives. And we need to be sensitive with respect to the timing and the pace of the implementation of our WEE interventions. So I think that ends my presentation, and thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this symposium and forum to share the results and the insights from the piloting of the benchmarks, not only in Vietnam, but in other parts of Southeast Asia, such as the Philippines and Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Well, so thank you so much, Dr. Lisa, for the great sharing in about the benchmark in the scorecards, the benchmark, and also the the lesson learned from the piloting the benchmark in scorecard in the 3 countries. So thank you so much. And và xin cảm ơn chị Lisa đã chia sẻ những cái một số cái nội dung cơ
Thank you,
bản.
Lisa, for your sharing regarding the use and the application of the benchmarks. And within the chat box, many ladies and gentlemen, as well as participants has shared that they want to receive the slide of Miss Lisa, as well as to know more and have some certain question of the tool for their reference. And they want to have some continuous sharing and discussion with the CCIP and IC in order to implement the tool in the future. It is not a training session, it is an open discussion. Therefore, we cannot discuss it in a very in-depth discussion. That is just introduction in order to get to know more about the tool. And please talk to CCIP and we can guide you, aid you during your understanding, your study, and your application of the tool. And after Miss Lisa sharing about the application and the use of the three country partners in using this tool, we would love to introduce Mr. Lê Văn Sơn, the lead consultant of the gender inclusive who participated directly in working and aiding the enterprises in the last 2 years. And he will have an in-depth sharing about how Vietnamese enterprises are adopting and implementing the tool.
Sơn ơi, anh Sơn đã có nghe được không ạ? Mình đang thấy màn hình của Sơn hình như là nó không có chuyển động. Alo? Alo, alo? Hello
Tôi
Sơn.
nghe nói. Dạ.
Ok, mình nghe thấy rồi Sơn ơi. Ok. Sao cái hình của Sơn nó cứ...
Mọi người có nghe em nói không ạ?
Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me?
Chị nghe được Sơn ơi.
Yes.
That's great.
Xin chào tất cả các anh các chị. Cảm ơn chị.
Welcome everyone to the talk and the discussion as well. I would love to thank you, Miss Oai, for your introduction, and Miss Lisa for your sharing about the use of the benchmark and the actual practice of the enterprises in 3 countries. And within the framework of this agenda, we will have like 30 minutes of the talk to share with you about some of the certain lessons learned and challenges during the implementation of the tool of the BTP WEE tool in for enterprises in Vietnam. Allow me to start my presentation at the moment. Mr. Sir's internet line is not very strong, so Mr. Sơn is about to shut down his screen, his image in order to ensure the internet.
Chị nghe được rõ rồi đúng không ạ? Thế thì
Can you hear me well? Oh my God.
Em chia
Không nghe rõ anh ơi.
không nghe rõ nói ạ. Bên này thì internet rất mạnh. Em chưa hiểu vấn đề trục trặc ở đâu.
I'm so sorry. Please allow Mr. Sun for like 1 or 2 minutes to solve his internet connection. Thank you.
Sơn ơi, Sơn cứ tiếp tục nói đi, mình không nghe thấy gì cả, không biết là Sơn có nói không.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, please hold on with us for a second. Mr. Sun is getting to the meeting again.
Anh các chị thông cảm một chút ạ, vì chúng ta cũng
Oh.
vâng. Thì có thể các anh các chị trong cái quá trình mà chờ anh Sơn có thể quay trở lại.
During waiting for Mr. Sun, we would love to have some of the questions and some comments from your participants. Please type in the chat box your question and your concern so that we can collect it.
Bây giờ nghe được rồi Sơn nhá.
Không biết có vấn đề gì đấy, internet thì em thay mấy cột mà nó vẫn cứ rất là tốt mà không hiểu sao. Thế thì em xin phép các anh chị em được chia sẻ ngắn gọn những cái
We'd love to have a snap introduction about the application of the WEE tool in the last 2 years, as well as the lesson learned. Most of the participants here are the representatives and the leaders of the SME, and you understand importance of the. I'm sorry, Mr. Sun is kind of lost again.
Trong quá trình thực hiện các chuỗi giá trị sản phẩm, một số những khuyến nghị mà chúng ta cần phải chú ý là gì khi áp dụng công cụ này, thì đấy là cái phần trình bày. Tôi thì xin phép được chia sẻ. Như chúng ta đã biết thì khi nói đến chuỗi giá trị sản phẩm,
at first, I would love to share with you the role of women in the agricultural value chains. And throughout the 4 enterprises that I participated in the capacity building training, the one SME is focused business line is the Melaleuca value chain. The others is the star anise and cinnamon.
Mà họ tham gia với tư cách là một cái lực lượng lao động chính.
After all of my observation, I see that women has an important role in the agricultural value chain. Even that is the Melaleuca value chain or the star anise value chain. However, there's a sad picture or the sad landscape in which the women participating in the value chain, they are kind of insignificant and they have lack of the knowledge and skills in technical. They are supported greatly, however, compared to male, the experience of women is a little bit lower, which is a constraint that prevent the women from showing off all of their potential and their contribution to the value chain. The third element that I'm going to discuss is about the lack of confidence in women, especially women in the rural or in the remote area and of the minor ethnic community. For example, the Chafaco Sapa, they engage with 2 value chain, that is the artichoke and the herbal plant, but the most women participating in the value chain are from the minor ethnic community. However, they are really not confident when discussing or working with the partners or working with the other personnel agent of the enterprises. And the final thing to see in the role of the women, it is about their certain constraint that they are facing. Although they have to participate in all of the production process as well as many other hardworking tasks, they're also tied down with the domestic work and the care and the unpaid care work as well. So this it is another strength that put them away from their actual participation in the value chain. And this also really tie them down and not and make them not highly and fully um, mm, straight out their potential and their and their recognition within the value chain.
Sơn ơi, nghe hơi khó Sơn ạ.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sun is a little bit away from the
Mình phụ nữ thì
connection.
là từng người được kỳ vọng là tuân theo các cái quyết định mà nam giới họ đưa ra. Đặc biệt là trong các cái quyết định về
Also,
sản
there
xuất,
are
cấp
some
thị
things
trường,
regarding the women's roles in the
khi
value
mà
chain as
cái vai
well.
trò là liên kết giữa doanh nghiệp
That
với lại
is
người
something
sản xuất
between the
thì chúng ta
relationship
thấy là có một cái
between
khoảng
they
cách
and the man in the
cái
family.
thiếu
They
tự
are
do
expected to
của
follow
phụ
the
nữ ở trong cái vị
decisions
trí
of men in the family and in the
hoặc
production,
là quản
even
lý
as a
hoặc là
wife or as a daughter
tổ hợp tác
or
trong thương mại
as
với
a
sự
staff.
thiếu hụt của phụ nữ ở trong cái góc nhìn là đại diện ở vai trò lãnh đạo thì có thể ảnh hưởng
And
đến
though
cái việc
women in
thúc
a
đẩy cái
massive
tốc độ
number they
và
participate in the value chain, however,
điều quan trọng nữa
in
là
terms of
ở
the
Việt Nam
leadership,
chúng ta cũng nhìn thấy
there is
là
a lack of
trên cái định
women
kiến của xã
leader
hội
in the
đặc
value
biệt là
chain.
cái định kiến tấn công vào vai trò
And
kinh tế của phụ nữ. Đôi khi thì họ đưa ra
and
một kỳ vọng
last but not least,
là
about the
vai
women's
trò
role in the AVC, there
người
are
nội trợ
certain
chăm sóc
gender
con cái và hỗ trợ kinh
stereotypes,
tế và chính vì
and
vậy hiến
they're
pháp
expected
đã
to
vô
take
tình
care of
gạt phụ
the
nữ ra khỏi
care
cái
work,
tiến trình
the unpaid
mà
care
họ
work,
phải làm
and
tích cực hơn
the
và chọn các
women's
cái vai trò đặc biệt
responsibilities
là
rather
vai
than
trò quản trị
economic
thị trường
role,
hay là các cái vai trò kinh tế
which really
để bước chân
prevent
cái
them
vai trò của
from
phụ nữ trong thương mại điện tử
participating in
thì nó cũng đặt
entering
ra
and
cho chúng ta một
enjoying
số những cái thách thức
the
để
market
có thể nâng
and
cao
the
vị thế của phụ
production.
nữ hoặc là để thúc đẩy được bình đẳng giới trong gia đình và trong cộng đồng nói chung
So
và
that
trong các chuỗi
in
giá trị
order
nói
to
riêng.
promote the gender
Họ sẽ phải
equality
nhìn
and the
nhận
actual
rất là khác biệt
um,
và
women economic empowerment, we have to make another approach
xuất
in
phát
order
từ cái
to
cảm nhận vai
solve
trò
the
của phụ nữ trong thương mại
certain
là như vậy.
issues that they're
Thì khi
facing.
mà hỗ trợ cho doanh nghiệp, bốn doanh nghiệp để áp dụng các
During
cái
my support for the
giải pháp
farmer
và tạo
enterprises
năng suất cho phụ nữ
to
hơn nữa
transform their
thì
relations with
doanh nghiệp
women
đã phát
within
xuất
the
một số những
agriculture
cái
value
ý
chain,
tưởng
we
những cái
have
giải pháp mà chúng tôi
execute
cho rằng là rất là căn
certain
cơ để
resolutions,
được thúc đẩy được
which is
vai
to
trò
hit
của
right
phụ nữ
up in
trong thương mại điện tử và bình đẳng
the
giới.
real
Trước hết là
problem
chúng tôi
faced by
thấy theo
women.
hướng là
The first
sẽ
approach we are
rất
making
nhiều
is
hoạt động tham
to
gia
turn the
là
company into
sản
a
xuất thuộc
gender
chuỗi giá trị sản
responsive
phẩm
company.
thì họ sẽ cần phải trở thành một cái doanh nghiệp mà có đáp ứng giới hay nói cách khác là doanh nghiệp có trách nhiệm giới.
Gender responsive company can be understood as a gender responsible company. So, and in this approach, the enterprise will be a gender responsive agent. The first is to raise awareness of the leader and the staff in the enterprise, especially the staff who is in charge of the relationship with the small scale farmers. We can promote the awareness raising via the capacity building and training so that the staff of the enterprises, they have the certain understanding of the gender issue and gender equality. This is the prerequisite to promote gender equality and gender economic empowerment during their partnership with the farmers and women. Besides the awareness, we also focused on the gender analysis skills. That is, we support them to leverage their understanding and acknowledge the way and the aspect of the gender distance during their operation and business in order to view this problem. They will have to execute a women economic empowerment action plan. That is to address the gender issues. In each enterprise, we kind of plan and execute a women economic empowerment action plan. We provide the real and the pragmatic solution to solve the problem of women and women inequality that they're facing. it as well as to promote the economic role of the woman, the economic importance of the woman in the value chain. In order to make the enterprise to be more gender responsive, the company should have a focal point, someone who is in charge of the plan, of the execution of the plan, and who will be in charge of the monitor and supervise and quality control of the action plan in order to bring on the table the actual solution to women's problem in the value chain. That is the prosecute to make the company or the enterprise to solve the women economic empowerment issue. The second approach to promote gender equality and women economic empowerment is to improve their gender responsiveness in partnership with small-scale farmers. In this aspect, we will have to consider the things like relationship with the farmer besides economic and supply issues. In order to make the enterprise do this, we help raise the awareness of the farmers on gender equality and women economic empowerment. They help them improve their approach, improve the understand of their role in the value chain. After that, we try to tackle the general and the particular constraints of the women participation in the value chain. And in order to do so, we provide the gender sensitive technical support. The third is we strengthen active participation of the women. And in order to do that, we support in the new policy of enterprise. For example, when they sign the offtake contract with the farmers and the households, we do not solely sign with the husband. We also sign with the wife, the women in the household, because they are one of the agents that directly participate in the production and the ensure of the quality of the materials. And the final is the alternative livelihood options of the women.
Một cái sáng kiến nữa, giải pháp nữa để phát huy đó là tạo cái nguồn sinh kế dự phòng hay là sự sinh kế thay thế cho nông dân.
Alternative livelihood options is the thing that is to support is in order to increase the capacity of the women farmers so that they would have some alternative occupation or alternative means of income in order to make their life sustainable. In order to do this, we will promote the access to information and partnership and the relations with the others so that they will have a sustainable income generation. This will promote and enable them to sustainably participate in the agriculture value chain. Not all in order to support to promote the gender equality and women economic empowerment. We also support another approach regarding the management and execution of the small scale farmers. In order to achieve so, we raise the các vấn đề của hợp tác xã hoặc của tổ hợp tác. Và thứ hai là tăng cường sự tham gia của phụ nữ ở các vị trí lãnh đạo trong cái nhóm. We promote the active participation of women so that they can be promoted in collaborative group. For example, they will have their presence and their voice leveraged.
Và các kiến thức về giới để họ nhận thức được tiềm năng và những cái thách thức riêng mà mỗi giới khi tham gia vào trong tổ hợp tác hoặc hợp tác xã đang gặp phải. Và một số giải pháp liên quan đến nâng cao các
other solutions regarding this is to advance the capacity and the leadership of the women and men in the small group. And we also promote the female leadership in the collaborative groups so that we will improve the representation of women in the value chain as well. And after the implementation of this project, we witnessed the six positive impacts made by the project. The first one is to improve the understanding and awareness of the CEO and leaders, as well as the business staff, about regarding the use and the application of gender equality and gender economic empowerment approach. They have the basic understanding, and then after that, they will have a better notice, a better look at the women, and they can identify and target the importance of the women in the agriculture value chain. They promote women to be an action for change within the value chain. Maybe previously the enterprises really care about women, but they do not do it purposely. But thanks to this tool, the leaders of enterprise take more care more about the position and the presence of the women in their value chain. The third one, the project has leveraged the leadership of women in the value chain. We support them to get access to the market or get access to be promoted as the leader in the production group. This is an important result of the project. The fourth one is to improve the group management skills. And regarding the skills, that is the presentation skills, the group management skills provided to women and men. And this provides directly as the way to improve their income. And actually, they really do have a better income after having their skills strengthened. Fifthly, women witness their boost in confidence and their senseness when they provide their idea, provide their comments to participate and get contribution in the group. That is, and the last one is. However, during the implementation, the rollout of these tools, we overcome certain challenge, and this certain is really should be really noticed in order for us to sustainably apply and execute it in the future. Although the tool is great and was carefully developed, however, it's just a tool, and without execution, it's nothing. One key challenge is that certain CEO leaders have low motivation and political will regarding the use of the tool. In the foreign enterprises, they have the high motivation and political will, but if any other or in the same enterprise do not have enough
mà lãnh đạo doanh nghiệp không quan tâm hoặc là họ không nhận thức rõ về
care about the position, about the women economic empowerment. So these tools as well as the action cannot be made and cannot be translated in any actual results.
Tăng quyền năng kinh tế cho phụ nữ riêng thì chúng ta phải có cái kỹ năng đó.
The second challenge witnessed by us is that the gender mainstreaming skills. Although all staff of enterprises are highly skillful in their job, but there are times if it is proved that the staff of the enterprise do not have enough the capacity or have enough the concentration in the gender issue, that is very hard to actually execute the women economic empowerment. The third thing to mention is about the limited resource. Only when there are some available resource regarding the human resource and the finance, the women economic empowerment action plan will be executed and will be translated into the real results.
Và thu hút phụ nữ tham gia thì chúng ta cần phải có nỗ lực nhiều hơn trong việc xóa bỏ
Gender stereotypes is
also
a constraint to the successful achievement, the successful contribution of this tool. So that we have to improve, constantly improve the awareness and the intellectual skills of the farmers and the business.
Và cái quyền lực của nhóm nông dân nói chung trong cái chuỗi giá
The challenges faced by women is also a barrier for the successful completion of the tool. That is, the women have to face with double challenges. They have the weight of the household and the care work, and the responsibilities with the work as well. This really put some restraint for their ongoing follow of the plan. A low confidence and unbalanced power is also a challenge as well. After all the execution of this project, I have made some recommendations. The first recommendation is to raise the awareness on the value and the benefits of the gender equality and women economic empowerment approach within the company. The second recommendation is to strengthen CEO and senior leadership attention on gender equality and women economic empowerment approach. The third recommendation is to investment is the key. We should sufficiently invest in the women economic empowerment action plan. We have to invest the money, we have to invest the human resource, we have to invest the understanding and the acknowledgement of the we instead of the single business issue.
Liên quan đến tổ chức và liên quan đến chiến lược hợp tác với nông dân. Vậy thì nhất là cái chiến lược đó.
Also, I recommend the development of gender responsive policy in order to promote gender equality and women economic empowerment. The policy should be mainstream and to be sensitive and to make the enterprise sensitive about the gender issues. We also should have the clear strategy on partnership with and the capacity building for small-scale farmers. We have to consider the farmers as an agent for change, as someone who's important. So we have to conduct the strategy to boost their capacity to make them the better suppliers, and the capacity to strengthen the partnership with them, to make them understand the importance of the enterprise and to make them committed and aligned with the company's economic empowerment program. The last is that we have to strengthen the leadership capacity of female members of collaborative groups and cooperatives. Thank you so much for your sticking to us and your attention. In case you have some other comments and some other queries, please contact us, contact our team, so that we can try to make you have a better understanding on this and have a better discussion.
Rất là kiên trì trong cái quá trình mà cam kết để mà có thể áp dụng cái bộ công cụ này pilot ở 4
Thank you so much for Mr. Sun for your participation in the talk, as well as your dedication during the implementation of this project. There are so many ups and downs. And the next part, we would love to have some discussions and some experience sharing of the 4 enterprises.
Từ đầu tiên là chúng tôi muốn mời chị Hồ Thị Phương Anh.
I would love to introduce Miss Hồ Thị Phương Anh, who is
giám đốc của Transformative, và hai phần tiếp
theo Miss Hồ Thị Phương Anh, the director of Vinming, Mr. CEO of Transformative, Mrs. Phương from Vinasamek, and Mrs. from the Vietpepper company. We would love to know very much about the way and how the company has has taken notice in gender issues. For sure, besides this sharing of the enterprise, we also have an open discussion, and we really hope for your participation and your further sharing regarding the questions of the participants.
cái trải nghiệm của mình trong cái quá trình thử nghiệm
Firstly,
của công cụ
let me introduce Miss Lee.
Phương Anh ơi.
Dạ, em xin chào chị Loan, chào Marilisa, chào các anh chị đến từ GRAISEA và các anh chị doanh nghiệp mà đã tham dự
Good
cái buổi
afternoon, everyone. From the social impact business enterprises, from CSIP, ISEA, and other partners. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to get to the stage, to the podium to share with you the way Winming has done in order to achieve this. And our company focused production is the essential oil and melaleuca related products. And we participated from the seedlings to the production and to the processing of the materials and the finalization of the material to make it into the marketable products. And during our approach in the products, we decided we have to build a material area so as to ensure a sustainable supply chain first. However, when we work with the farmers, we receive some certain suggestions at first that working with farmers is not easy, and they have some certain barriers and drawbacks. At the same time, however, we are ambitious, so we want to have the and so we have determined to build our own production area and material area, and this will involve a lot the partnership with the farmers.
Giúp chị qua slide khác. Thế thì các anh chị thấy rằng là em cũng muốn chia sẻ cho các anh chị một cái đoạn nhỏ nhỏ. Đây là
We would love to share with you some certain learning exchange and the application of the BTP and WEE in our company that we applied right from the 2021.
Phương Anh có thể tự hay là có cần bọn chị share giúp không?
Em cái này là hình như bạn nào share giúp em đúng không? Đang điều khiển chứ không phải em share đúng không chị? Hình như là ban tổ chức đang share cho em á. Em dùng một slide thôi, ok, dùng một slide thôi là ok em. Rồi, ở đây thì mọi người sẽ nhìn thấy là tại vùng mà bọn em đang làm á thì
in our material area, our we engaged the small scale farmers who have low educational background and have some certain way of norms and certain rural behaviors.
Thế thì
And
có một cái tình trạng mà em muốn chia sẻ mọi người là cái lúc này đây người lao động họ nói gì,
and
mọi người sẽ nghe một cái đoạn nhỏ.
I would love to share with you a voice chat from a farmer within our production areas. And we'd love to play the clip of the farmer at the moment to make everyone here understand a little bit about the lifestyle and about the characteristic of the farmers within my material area.
Cái clip này nè. Có. Đây này, ngay chính trong slide này luôn. Ok, thôi em stop share để chị share cái phần của chị. Ok. Dạ.
Please come back to my sharing. And you can see that is the voice and the way the farmer in our production area, in our material area talk. The people, women and men, people and women and men within our supplier, they are really obedient in the policy and the law of the legal area. And that's we see that after our arrival to the material area, we have contributed certain changes in the mindset of the people to make them become better and more progressive persons with better contribution to the society. Before coming to Vinming as a partner, we only have only 20 million đồng per year. However, when their annual income is just like 20 million đồng a year, which is equivalent to like $8,000 a year. And although when working with us, they have the better income. And when we start our gender equality program, we was kind of confused. We don't know how to do and what to do. That is when the BTP WEE tool coming to us and guide us how to do it. We have faced a certain barrier, like we do not have a focal point, have a specialist. We do not have a specialist in the women and farmers issues. As well, we do not have someone like a throughout a constant person to be in charge of it. The second problem when we are doing the women economic empowerment is that we witness some certain gender issues that might affect the quality of the products. It is like when we have opened the capacity building for the farmers. We have opened the capacity building for the farmers. However, we don't the men come to the capacity building training, but the actual persons doing all the tasks to produce is a woman. And when after coming back home from the capacity building, the men cannot deliver everything they taught from the capacity building, and which make us find it hard to ensure the quality control of the products. And when we try to engage them in the capacity building, the women say that they have the other interest, other affair. So they just send their husband go instead. And we also face certain barriers that we have problem with the detailed management and detailed plan execution. We only have really spontaneous thinking and spontaneous effort at first. So that will be some barrier for us to sustainably achieve from women economic empowerment. And the final problems when during our execution of the WEE plans at the enterprise level is that besides the society and the farmers relations, we also have the other issues to take care of, and that is about the sales. It is about the uh, business partnership and the outcome of our products. And we cannot always all the time buy the products, buy the materials from the farmers, which may be reduce the motivation of the farmers and keep them interested in our program. We have just get engaged in the BTP WEE program for more than a year. However, after the capacity building and the training provided to us by the experts, by CSIP and other partners, it shed a light on us to know what to do in order to achieve sustainably our gender equality and women economic empowerment efforts. That is about the policy, the documentation of the policy, and to we are increased the idea and the understanding of the documentation of our policy, especially the gender-based policy.
Con đường khó thì các anh chị biết rằng là nếu quan hệ tiền thì doanh nghiệp còn đang rất yếu, không thể nào dùng tiền để mua được, và có những giai đoạn là bà con nói rằng là ở ngoài kia giá nó cao hơn nhưng chúng tôi không bán cho doanh nghiệp.
For sharing more, although there is still many certain obstacles faced by us during our business operation and development, we still effort to have commitment to the social responsibilities and to improve the lives of the women and men in our value chain. When sometimes many people tell us that we are still sometimes struggling with the business and financial management, but we are still making some effort regarding the gender equality and the women economic empowerment. However, we still effort to do all of so despite all of the suggestion before. That is because that is based on, because when we get engaged to the program, we also have our capacity building enhanced, and we will get some insights and some of the lesson learned after that in order to contribute to our own business operation. And we also consider that social responsibility as a part of our marketing strategy in order to make our product different from the others, in order to improve our brand awareness and our population which to the public. However, in order to do this, we have to make the record, we have to execute the pragmatic and effective And that is a way for us in order to achieve our own business goal, as well as maintain and ensure our commitment to society and our mission to improve the life of the women and men in the local community.
Và nếu như người phụ nữ không tham gia thì cái hiệu suất công việc, hiệu quả công việc và cái chuỗi giá trị của doanh nghiệp nó cũng bị phá vỡ. Và thường đàn ông cũng có tham gia trong chuỗi, nhưng mà họ chỉ làm một cái phần giống như họ bảo là tôi sẽ làm việc nặng tôi
And regarding the effectiveness of the production, it involves the gender issues as well, because most of the workers or most of the farmers directly participated in the production and delivery of the products are women. And if we do not engage them in our capacity building, in our discussion and giving requirements, so we cannot have the ensured products and ensured materials to make the best products to offer the market. We also have some recommendation after our application and our launch of the Women Economic Empowerment Tool. That firstly, that is a
bên dự án họ sẽ nhìn thấy là về cái tính sở hữu của người phụ nữ trong này không có, nhưng mà về thực tế cái tính văn hóa và tính luật pháp ở tại Việt Nam thì nếu là vợ chồng, khi vợ chồng thì họ có được đứng tên.
We'd love to talk about
để đứng lên, thành ra là nó còn phải có một cái thời gian chuyển đổi. Và một cái đề xuất của chúng tôi đó là sẽ cần có những cái hoạt động đào tạo thường xuyên hơn để doanh nghiệp cũng được nâng cao.
We have to ensure the importance of capacity building for women, as well as to realize the importance and identify and allocate them in our activities. We will also have to do more of the effort in order to make the actual transformational effects on the women. Thank you, Ms. Phương, for your sharing. It has really contributed to the talk, as well as make effort in, as well as we are really answer some certain question, some inquiries that our organizational board has made at first. However, in this before moving to the next discussion, we would love to have a photo section via the camera of everyone, so that we will have a look back at how the talk is implemented, and how we can mobilize, and how we are motivated to do the further in the future. Please open your camera.
Brad, make the cue.
Okay, there's 3 pages, so please bear with us. Keep on smiling for how many seconds? So let's start with the first page. 1, 2, 3, smile. Next slide. Okay, while waiting for the others, please keep on smiling. 1, 2, 3, smile. Last slide. While waiting for the others. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Cảm ơn các anh các chị. Những tấm hình xinh đẹp của các anh các chị sẽ được gửi kèm cùng với cả tài liệu ở sau cái buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay ạ. Vâng. Dạ vâng, cảm ơn các anh các chị rất nhiều. Vừa rồi thì chị Phương Anh cũng đã chia sẻ một phần nào.
Last session, Ms. Phương has shared her experience in and motivation in implementing the benchmark for transformational partnership in a woman economic empowerment in the agriculture value chain. Within this project, our team has invited and engaged for enterprises. Some of them have a great scale in business and a great revenue, but some other uh, in the small size. So that is going to diversify our takeaway and our observation during the implementation of the project.
Dân tham gia cũng lên đến vài trăm hộ nhất là một cái vùng địa bàn dự án ở Lào Cai.
And in the
Thì
next,
ở đây có hôm nay thì chúng tôi cũng xin mời anh Đỗ Tiến Sĩ.
we would love to introduce Mr. Đỗ Chính Tiến Sĩ,
um,
Director of Chapaco Sapa, will have some sharing regarding his execution and his management of the enterprise to execute the WE program.
Xin chào
Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to express my appreciation and my happiness to be a part of the program. And I'm very happy to once again see all of my fellow here within a gender equality and women economic empowerment program. Regarding Chapaco Sapa, we are very happy that one of the very particular activity of the enterprise has been associated with the rural and remote area, and we have involved and partnered with minor ethnic communities and people of the minor ethnicity. So they were not something regarding the economic issues. It is also related to the language barrier and the local norms and customs. Sometimes the people within our agriculture value chain, they're illiterate and they have low education background. Our company has a mission to create the green products for the human health care.
Rộng với cái việc về không chỉ là câu chuyện của những cái nguồn nguyên liệu của xanh, nguyên liệu an toàn.
Our mission is not only associated with the green and safe and organic products, sustainable development. Our company also define that associating and engaging the people and small-scale farmers within our organization. It plays some important role within our business development and business operation. Thanks to the partnership and the cooperation with many NGOs and development partners, we have a sharper understanding regarding the importance of women, gender equality. Chapaco Sapa is a daughter company of the Chapaco Corporate, which is a big pharma company in Vietnam, and we have associated with the offering and with the providing of medicinal herbs products, as well as livestock food, which is also some new locative for our market development and the new area for better engage the farmers and the women within our production material area. During our development of the value chain, from the farmers to the end users, customers, we also put together the linkage and the partnership with the government, scientists, and NGO. Especially, we also participate with many NGO in order for the for the capacity building and the technical assistance. It is not just for us to receive more funds or for the economic gain, but it is more about guide us how to sustainably develop our business. We have collaborated with CSIP, Oxfam, SNV, and many other national and international partners in order to create, to develop a sustainable development plan for us. Besides, we also apply quality control system like the ISO, the site, and we are also a member of the Union for Ethical Biotrade. And during this progress, we have made so many initiatives and new innovations to leverage and to boost our economic and our business. That is the release of the new tourist model in a combination with the peer picking and the harvestation. Within these activities, the relations with the minor ethnic community and the women play an important role, and we make our every effort to mainstream the gender issues and minor ethnic issue into our business. To be honestly share with you, even many organizations do not have a sufficient attention to the gender equality. For example, when we are trying to achieve some technical quality control, we they don't even pay enough attention like us. When we discuss and raise it on the table, they say that gender equality is not an issue that we care. And, um, and after a long time of struggling and doing it on our own, thanks to the support of CSIP and consultant Levinson, we have known how to do it by the use of the benchmarks and the WEE tool. Previously, when there are certain issues happening between the men and women within our production chain, we try to make some intervention, but we do not think that we will do it in a systematic way. And after getting engaged in this GRAISEA, we are equipped with capacity building, training, and know how to work with the community and to execute the gender equality, execute the gender equality plan, and to apply it within our business operation. For example, regarding the contract signing, we propose and we decide that we will make both the man and the woman and the family to sign the offtake agreement, because that is to engage the women more and to make them responsible for supplying and delivering the high quality of the product. Besides the capacity building related to production and planting and quality control, we also have some other capacity building and training for the people regarding the communications and PR, so that they can promote their uh, their ability to make use of the social media to to enlarge their customers and to make their products known by the local community. For example, we also train the train the farmers and the women to know how to use the camera, how to make the social content to promote their product. Let's see the picture. That is the vine tea. That's the vine tea, and we have conducted the capacity building related to the production, the harvesting, and the promotion of the vine tea.
Và thông qua quá trình này thì rõ ràng là cũng phải chia sẻ rằng là một cái điểm rất là đặc
One
biệt
of the
của tổ chức
other
là khi người phụ
interesting
nữ tham gia
story
các cái hoạt động truyền thông thì
related to
họ
our
có cái sự ưa
execution
thích thú
program,
hơn. Có
the
lẽ là cái
women
sở thích mà người phụ nữ thích chụp ảnh rồi
engaged
thích
in the
đăng bài và đây là một cái lợi
capacity
thế mà
building
trong quá
on
trình
media.
triển
They
khai chúng
take
tôi
great
sẽ
notice
có cái sự
and
quan
they
tâm
are
và chú
really
ý hơn nữa
interested and
cái đặc
motivated
điểm này
to
để có thể phát
take
triển hơn,
picture
đặc biệt
and
trong
use
cái
photos
thời
and
đại
social
mà
media
gọi là
as a
chuyển đổi
mean
số
for the
thì
product
tôi nghĩ
promotion
rằng cái
and
tuyên bố này sẽ mang lại
better
cái cơ
income
hội
generation.
cho doanh nghiệp trong cái việc
This
vận
idea,
dụng
this
cái yếu
initiative,
tố đó để phát
it
triển các
is a
cái cơ hội
story
kinh
for us
doanh,
to share,
gia tăng cái giá
and we
trị
would
gia
love
trọ
to make
vào
everyone know of this and to apply this in their business
còn về
in
cái
their
công
business
công ty thì
execution,
thực sự thì
so as
với
to not only achieve
cũng
the
phải nói
better
rất là
income,
đặc
the
biệt
better
sau khi mà được chia
um,
sẻ những câu
the
chuyện về bình đẳng
the
giới
better promotion
thì
program, but also to engage the women
thực ra thì bản thân họ luôn luôn có
and
một
to
cái
make
mong muốn
them
về cái tự
contribute
chủ về
to
kinh
the
tế, kể cả
actual
công ty hay là người
achievement of
cộng
the
đồng cũng
business
thế.
and the
Thế
value
rồi khi
chain
mà đi làm việc với người dân thì họ
as well.
cũng rất
When we
là
work
hăng
with
hái,
the
tức là một cái gì đó
people
họ muốn được
of
thể
the
hiện
value
mình
chain,
trong cái việc
they
mà
really want
gia
to
tăng được cái thu nhập. Đấy,
they're
cho nên
really
là khi mà được chia
enthusiastic
sẻ về cái câu chuyện mà
in
truyền thông trên mạng xã hội
improving
mà
their
kể cả
income
họ thực
and
sự
to
họ rất là thích
have
thú
the
và rất
better
là chủ động, thậm
source
chí
of
những cái
the
buổi mà tập
customers.
huấn đấy họ đến rất là sớm. Đấy, và
That's
họ
why they are really
gọi điện cho
enthusiastic
nhau thì họ chia
and
sẻ
they are
và đến
highly
tìm hiểu đến rất
motivated
là
to
sớm.
join the
Thì đấy là một cái mà có
capacity
thể rằng là
building training
một cái đặc điểm của
provided by us.
có thể nhận thấy về cái việc
And
là mong muốn
thanks
sự
to
tự chủ về kinh
acknowledging
tế.
this, we understand that there is the possibility that
Thế và
that the
trong
people
quá
and the
trình
farmers
mà
they
chia
can
sẻ
take an
đó thì
active
chúng tôi cũng
role
nhận thấy rằng là
in the
lúc nãy thì
economic
trong cái bài của
and
anh
in the
Sơn cũng có đề
participation
cập
in the
thì
value chain.
thực sự phụ nữ thì cũng chưa thực sự tự chủ
As
hay là
shared by
trong cái
Mr.
quá trình
Sun
giao
previously,
tiếp hay tổ chức sản xuất.
there are
Nhưng có lẽ là cái đặc
there is
điểm mà
a
có đến cách
certain
đây cũng được khoảng
reality that
hơn một
women
năm hoặc gần
sometimes
2
do
năm gì
not
đó rồi, câu
really
chuyện nó bây giờ nó cũng khá là khác biệt.
effectively and
Cái nhận xét này
cons
của anh Sơn
consent
bây giờ
cons
nó cũng đã có cái
and
sự thay đổi khá
consciously
là
participate in the
rõ rệt.
um,
Người phụ
in the value
nữ rất là
chain.
chủ động khi
However,
tham gia các cái
by
quá trình
our
tập huấn.
experience and
Lúc nãy có cái
observation,
hình
we see
ảnh
that in the
cái lớp tập
latest
huấn
1
thì
or
có
2
thể thấy
years,
rằng là
women
rất là nhiều
within
người
our
tham
value
gia
chain really
mấy
um,
các cái buổi tập huấn đều thấy rằng là
effectively
phụ nữ bây
and
giờ tham
actively
gia rất là nhiều.
participate in our
Trước đây thì có
activities
thể là
and our partnership.
nam giới là tham gia
Maybe
để mà
previously có thể there
là
is
họ có một cái sở
only
thích
the
uống rượu gì đó
participation
khi tham
of
gia
the
cái tập
men
huấn thì có uống rượu
in
thì
the
họ đi.
capacity
Nhưng bây giờ
building
thì là mình yên
program.
tâm là
However,
vợ lẫn chồng
after
có
our
thể đi tập huấn.
requirement,
Và thứ hai trong một cái hợp đồng
that
hoặc là quá trình
both
nghiên
men
cứu
and
và
women of
trong
the family have to go
tất
on the
nhiên
capacity
thì
building.
cũng như anh Sơn
There
lúc
will
nãy
be
thì
more
nó cũng chưa
participation
được
of the
hoàn toàn
women
cái câu chuyện
in
là
the
họ được thử
in
được
the
cái
training
cái
as
quyền
well.
quyết định của mình.
It is a
Nói ví
fact
dụ
that
như là công
it is
ty
not all the time the women have
họ
the
đăng
right
ký một cái diện
to
tích nuôi
decide
trồng hay một cái sản
they
lượng
have
các
the
cái sâu nó
decisions,
khoảng 10 tấn gạch
effort
đấy.
or something like
Thì
that.
cái câu chuyện là
However,
trồng bao nhiêu tấn
there is
này
some
vẫn
progress and
là
some
vẫn phải hỏi ông chồng ý
development
kiến
as
xem
well.
là nên như thế nào. Cái điều này thì chúng tôi nghĩ rằng là nó cũng đã có cái sự thay đổi, và cái này thì cũng đòi hỏi là chúng ta có một cái sự kiên trì trong cái tương tác với người dân.
We advise that
Cũng rất
there
là
should
may
be
là khi
some
mà công ty
patience
hoạt động và
during
sản xuất
the
với những cái dạng cây trồng
during
thảo dược
the
này thì
partnership and
cái
during the
sự
communication with the
tần suất
people
mà gặp gỡ người dân cũng khá là nhiều, một
and
tháng
the
một lần, nên là
frequency
chúng tôi có
of
nhiều cái cơ
meeting the
hội hơn để chia
person
sẻ với họ.
is really
Thì dần
regular.
dần
We
thì
have
họ
met
thay
them
đổi.
once
Tuy nhiên
every
cũng
month
như anh
in
Sơn nói
order
lúc
to
nãy thì cái
deliver
vai
the
trò
critical
của
training
người
and
lãnh đạo
capacity
trong doanh nghiệp
building
nó có một
guidance.
cái vai trò rất là quan trọng.
So
Bởi vì
we see
có
that
thể
we
nói là
have
trong tất cả
some
các hoạt động
we see some of the responsibility in decision making, in and affecting the way of doing and the way of thinking.
cái vai trò của cái bình đẳng giới này thì
If
mới
in
đưa
a
vào trong
enterprise
các cái kế
like
hoạch
us,
ấy, cái nhận
the
thức của nó
enterprise
thì mới đưa ra
acknowledge
những các cái hành động
and
cụ
take
thể
notice
trong
to
cái
the
các cái dịp
women
hoạt động
economic
các dịp
empowerment
tương tác,
and
các
gender
cái tổ
issues,
chức, các sự kiện
we
thường
will
xuyên
will
sẽ
be
phải
able
gắn
to
với điều
mainstream
đó, không
the
chỉ ở
gender
trong doanh nghiệp
issue
của mình
within our
mà
business
là
and
còn ở
to
các cái cộng
contribute
đồng, các cái hộ dân
effectively and
thì luôn
sustainably
luôn là đưa
to
đưa vào các
the
cái nội dung đó, các kế hoạch và
gender
dần dần vào
equality of the community.
cái phần đó có thể nó không trong khắc phục cái việc là bên đoàn đánh giá của Bộ Y tế thì cho rằng là cái đó nó không liên quan, thì chúng tôi làm ra một cái
And
riêng
in
để
our
vẫn
area,
là một cái kế
this
hoạch
is not
chúng
all the
ta
time
ghép
the
cái câu chuyện
partners
đó vào để
and even
hướng
the
dẫn thường
state
xuyên
or the local government
và
really care
đưa
about
cái
women,
nội
but
dung
in
đó
all
vào
of the
trong
activities related to
cái hoạt động
stakeholders and partners. For
tự phối hợp.
example, the
Thì có thể nói rằng là với một cái bộ công mà
examination of
đưa ra rất là
some
nhiều những
people
tiêu
from the
chí rất là
Ministry
chi
of
tiết như
Health.
thế
We
thì cũng giúp
also
được công ty
provide
trong
some
cái việc
gender
mà
report to them,
định hình hay là khi mà lên cái kế
although it's
hoạch
not
hoạt
necessary
động
by them.
với
And
doanh nghiệp
within our
thường
business
xuyên thì phải
planning
đưa
and
lúc nào chúng ta cũng chỉ đạo
business
ở đây thì công ty
execution
có một
strategy,
bạn Trí là người mà
we
như là chủ
we
trì trực tiếp
always
trong cái việc
assign a
chia sẻ
person
tập huấn
to
tổ chức các cái buổi tập huấn
conduct
đào
the
tạo cho người
training,
dân
the
thì
capacity building for the
luôn có
people,
một
and
chỗ
in
với sự
charge
chỉ
of
đạo
the gender
là phải lồng
program
ghép, phải
and
đưa các cái yếu tố
women
đó, kể cả vấn đề
economic
về kinh
empowerment as
phí
well. Mr.
trong
Chi
các cái tổ chức
is
đó thì
a
dành ra một
specialist in our
cái phần
organization, in
là
our company,
chi
and
phí.
he
Một
was in
cái thì
charge
tôi
of
cũng có một
the
cái mong muốn, một cái chia sẻ là
in charge of
hiện
all
nay
the
thì cái vấn đề liên quan
gender
đến chuyển đổi
related
số
issues and
thì
gender
chúng tôi
report
nghĩ rằng
by
đây
us
là một cái cơ hội và cái tiêu chí này đương nhiên tôi nghĩ rằng nó cũng đâu đó nó nằm
about
trong cái bộ tiêu
the
chí rồi, nhưng
benchmark.
mà có thể nó cụ thể hơn trong cái việc đổi mới sáng tạo là cần chỉ ra một cái yếu tố về 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 ứng dụng cái
With
công nghệ
about the
thông tin
benchmark,
trong
besides
cái
all
việc
of the
tổ
fruits that
chức
we have
quản lý
taken
sản xuất,
by using it, we also
hoặc
want to
là
make some
trong cái việc
recommendations. That is the
mà
adding
bán
of
hàng.
the IT
Thì hiện nay thì cái
innovation
việc
and
mang
IT
ra
application.
chuẩn bị
It should
triển
be
khai
added as an
cái app
indicator
để
to
tổ chức một
assess
cái mạng
the
lưới
enterprise and assess the
kinh doanh các cái
women
sản phẩm mà công ty mà sản xuất những cái sản
even
phẩm mà
economic
theo doanh nghiệp bản
empowerment
địa chăm sóc sức khỏe,
efforts
thì
made
cũng
by
sẽ
the
thu hút
enterprise.
những các cái hộ dân tham gia vào cái quá trình đó.
And it is
Bên cạnh
observed by us
cái
that
việc mà hiện nay
the
BT
use
đã và đang áp
and
dụng
the execution
cái
of
phần mềm
the
truy xuất nguồn gốc
IT,
cái dược liệu
for
mà công
example,
ty
the
sản xuất ra
GPS
có đầy
or
đủ các
some
người dân có
on
thể
the
đưa các cái
media
thông
or
tin của
things
họ
like
vào
that,
đó,
they
và cái
will
yêu cầu đến nay là công ty đã bắt
motivate the
buộc
people to
có thể
engage
một hộ
more
dân nào
in
đó không
our
biết chữ, không biết
activities.
tiếng hoặc chưa biết dùng smartphone thì
And
chúng tôi cũng đã tạo ra
even
các cái
if
tổ nhóm để
the
mà ứng dụng
people,
công nghệ thông tin trong
the men
cái việc
and women in
mà
our value chain
quản lý cũng như là
are
truy xuất cái
illiterate
nguồn gốc cái
or
cây trồng mà
cannot
đã
proficient
trồng
in
trọt
using
sản
the
xuất.
application
Và
or
bên
the
cạnh
social
đó thì
media
cái
or
việc mà
the
bán
the
hàng
mobile
trong
device.
cái giai
We
đoạn
make
mới thì
effort
chúng
to
tôi sẽ
create
đẩy mạnh
the
cái yếu tố này.
a
Hoặc
production group in which
những người dân
they
thì
are
đặc
the
biệt là người dân tộc ít
combination
người,
of the
nữ giới
men and
nữa thì là
women
người rất thích tham
in
gia
the
những cái
value
này,
chain,
và chúng tôi sẽ
and then
phát
help
huy
each
cái
other,
yếu
and we will
đặc
also
điểm này
provide the
để
technical training
gia
for
tăng
them
cơ hội
in
sinh
order
lời,
to get to
cũng
know
chính
how to
là gia
use
tăng cơ
and
hội
use of the
cho
GPS
doanh nghiệp.
system
Bản thân những cái
and
người
to
đồng bào này mà tham gia vào cái việc
conduct
bán hàng
and follow
ở một góc
our
độ nào đó,
guidance.
chúng tôi nhìn nhận đó là một cái cách
In
rất
some
tốt để
aspect,
chúng tôi truyền thông về cái sự phát
the
triển bền
use
vững
of
của mình, hay là
the
cái sự
tool
minh bạch của mình
as well
trong
as
cái việc
other
các cái
gender
cái
strategy
chuỗi
and gender
liên kết
economic
ấy.
empowerment is a very good way
Có thể
for
nói
us
rằng
to
người
promote
dân tộc ít người
our
người ta nói rằng
gender
chỉ cần
and
truyền đạt
our
một cái
public
gì đấy
awareness
với cộng
by
đồng
the
xã hội, nó có
audience
một cái niềm tin rất lớn vào
and
cái việc
the
làm nó rất
customer.
là
It is a way for
chân
us
thực,
to do
và thứ
the
hai nó sẽ
product
tương tác
PR.
đến người tiêu dùng về cái yếu tố rằng là ở đây cái mang
And
cái giá trị nhân văn nữa là cái người tiêu dùng
we
có thể
also want
là
to
đây là một
deliver
cái sự tiêu
message to
dùng
our
không chỉ thuần
customers
túy
that
là để chăm sóc sức khỏe
the
của mình,
use the product that you
mà
are
cái việc
doing
tiêu
is
dùng
not only
của họ còn
contributes
có cái ý nghĩa rằng
to our
một cái sự chia
business
sẻ
success, but
với
also
đồng bào vùng cao.
the
Cái việc mà gia tăng thu
by
nhập thật
buying our product,
quả
you
thật
are sharing with
có
the
tính chất là
people
các
of
mang tính chất là
the
hai chiều, và
remote
chỗ này
area, and
thì
you are
với giai đoạn mới thì với vấn
contributing
đề
to
thương mại
the
điện tử nó
local
là một
economic
cái việc
development.
mà chúng tôi nghĩ rằng các doanh nghiệp cần quan tâm chú ý
it is
và giúp các
suggested
chủ
by
thể
me
có
that
thể gia tăng cái cơ hội
you
phát
should
triển
take
cho
into
doanh nghiệp của
consideration
mình, cũng đồng thời
the
là
use and the
gia tăng cái cơ
application
hội
of
phát
gender
triển
program
cho
and
đồng
the
bào
use of the new
và đặc
technology,
biệt là đồng bào và những người dân
the
tộc
new
ít
method
người.
or the new tool like the WEE tool
Thì đây là một số các cái thông tin chia sẻ
as a
của
part of your business
Sapa
operation
đang
and
trong quá trình chia
your
sẻ và
plan
có thể
so
có
as
những các cái
to
câu hỏi
utilize and to
thiếu
make
điều gì
use
chưa
of
rõ
the
cũng xin được
good side,
chia
great
sẻ thêm.
side of
Xin trân
the
trọng cảm
tool
ơn.
to you
Vâng,
and
cảm ơn
to
anh Sĩ.
create
Thì
your
tôi nhận thấy là rất là
enterprise
nhiều
an
cái
image,
phần chat
a
box ấy,
positive
có
image,
một số
and
anh
to
chị cũng đã bày tỏ
expand
sự
the
cảm
impact of
ơn
the enterprise
và
to the community.
ghi nhận là những cái trình bày của anh Sĩ nó rất là cụ thể và nó cũng rất là
Thank you, Mr. Sĩ, for your sharing, and we appreciate your detailed sharing and about the gender equality plan and intervention made by your company. Travel Sapa is an experienced enterprise in working with minor ethnicity people. And Mr. C, maybe you might remember when you just get entered to the GRAISEA project activity to see where is the baseline of the company. We were amazed to know that Chapaco Sapa has done so many things, so many positive effects on women and the people. So it is acknowledged by us that although many people they have the willingness and they have the motivation to make a positive impact on women, but sometimes we are not equipped with the right tool or with the right strategy to make it real and to make it be something consistent and sustainable. So, and it is Chapaco Sapa is one of the few company that make the partnership between the company and the suppliers to be really sustainable. We would love to have some question that the outcome of the transformation of the partnership. We will take notice of the application of the relevant and appropriate technology in the business activities and apply it. And we really concerned whether the application and the use of technology is not something only used assessed by the urban area, but also be utilized and by the people in rural and remote area, and to help them to make the best of their potential. That is one of the solutions strictly delivered by Chapaco Sapa during your business. Within our chat section, we also provide the link of Miss Lisa's in Vietnamese and English. Please, you can download it from the link. Right next to Mr. C's presentation, we would love to invite Miss Thương Lê from BTP to have some sharing regarding the application of the BTP WEE tool. Ladies and gentlemen, hello Miss Wang, hello Miss Lisa and Mr. Sơn and everyone within this session today. Our company Vietpaper is a young but aspiring enterprise. But we have so many years working with the people and women in our supply chain. And we have previously listened to the presentation by Miss Lisa and Mr. C and the others. We see that although VPEP was really good with the products, with and working with the farmers and to make the best product to the people, to the customers. However, there is something we are not really good at. We know how to do it, but we don't know how to document it and assess it in order to meet the international market that require um, that require social responsibility. Uh, for example, when our partners in the Europe ask, has your products have any added evidence to has your product contributed and make contribution to gender equality and the better life and fair trade of the people in your value chain. So it was really hard for me to answer that question because at that time, although we know it, but we haven't counted and haven't assessed or documented to make them some give them some evidence. So thanks to the support of Mr. of CSIP and IC and the We Train project, we have know how to do it.
Qua đây em xin giới thiệu sơ về bên chỗ Hồ Tiêu Việt thì Hồ Tiêu Việt là chuyên làm về các loại gia vị.
At first, let me introduce our company. Hồ Tiêu Việt is a company specialized in providing in spices products, and at the moment our products has achieved international standards and certification, and our company is 100% owned and invested by Vietnamese, and we are the pilot, we are pioneering in providing the products from the farmers to the customers. We committed to provide. We endeavor to provide our product without the broker, so as to ensure the quality control of our products, as well as the benefit and the economic gain of the women and men in our value chain. And we are really committed to fair trade. We understand that fair trade to make us know that we commit to provide the best quality of our products, and when engaging with women and men in our agriculture, we committed to provide the good agreements and to make a satisfaction to the farmers, women and men, providing material as our suppliers. From the planning to the processing and offering the market, and we try the best to make it from farm to farm as a very strong and solid linkage. We work with the cooperatives and rural farmers, and we base on communication, and continuous working with farmers in order to ensure the partnership and the quality of the products. One of our motto is the use of the herb use the most quintessential fragrance from nature's gift of spices to create trust, emotional value for consumers with respect and social responsibilities of our business. We would love to offer markets with the most pure products because we care about the health and the well-being of our customers, and we want to foster, we want to promote the natural products, and we respect our partners. Social responsibility is one of the things we also set importance.
Sơ khai thì chúng tôi chưa có làm gì, chỉ có thương mại hóa thôi. Để đến 2015 thì khi mà chúng tôi đi
before
quốc tế thì chúng tôi nhận thấy rằng là
before 2015 we were just focusing on the business and market entry. However, after entering a fair, a international fair, we realized that the pepper of Vietnam only enter the market via the pure, the bare material instead of some actual brand with high value. It is not, we were not able to do that. So from to 2017, with a strong commitment and business orientation, we try to obtain the organic pepper product to export the products to US and EU markets and achieve the FDA certificate. To 2021, our business expanded and we were able to enter international markets like the Australia, USA, Japan, and we are able to obtain BRC factory, which is of the highest quality, certification. We also apply and use the ERP system and obtain the HALAL certificate. And towards 2023, we have been successful to enter the market of 16 countries like EU, US, Japan, Australia, and ASEAN. With 10 years of effort, we have successfully exported to many countries, and we also successful in enter Vietnamese supermarket system. We have more than 2,000 selling points in Vietnam. We have achieved so many certifications regarding the quality, regarding the fair trade. However, we haven't had any certification or any tools in order to show that we are delivering a lot of good impact on women and men within our value chain.
Kiểm soát là control cái dư lượng thuốc bảo vệ thực vật. Thì chúng tôi làm việc với bà con nông dân và hợp tác xã thì khoảng hơn 500 hecta, thì tương đương với 1.500 tấn.
We've been working with more than 500 hectares of we've been securing like 500 hectares of the production.
Thì tiếp đó thì cái phần mà sau cái phần này thì chúng tôi đã hợp tác với khoảng 100 hộ nông dân với 7 cái hợp tác xã. Thì 100 hộ nông dân với hợp tác xã thì hầu hết chúng tôi may mắn.
We also collaborated with more than 100 households. And it is lucky that we are working with farmers in the central highland in Vietnam who are migrants and who make a lot of effort in their production and in their planting, as well. The people in the Central Europe and the Central Highland in Vietnam are very intelligent, and they adapt well to all the guidance and the requirements of Vietnam of our company.
Miền Bắc Tây Bắc của mình mà bên cái nhánh của Vinasamed hay là bên chỗ
To compare the
làm thì nó sẽ gặp khó khăn hơn chúng tôi rất là nhiều.
in compared, I know that the material area of Vinming or Vinasamex or Chabaco Sapa are in remote area. The sometimes they will have to face a lot more barrier than us during ensuring on developing the partnership with the farmers. But to us, we do not have much problem.
Đứng đầu trong một cái hộ nông dân hay là một cái hợp tác xã gì đó thì hầu hết họ là những người đứng đầu. Nhưng mà trong quá trình canh tác, trong trình hợp tác thì hầu hết người phụ nữ cũng tham gia vào quá trình canh tác, quá trình quyết định.
And within our value chain, we see that women, although they are not the leaders, but however, they also greatly participate in the production, in the labor work.
Với các chuyên gia mà chúng tôi đưa về thì cũng tầm đâu đó khoảng được là
and
40%
and we recorded that in the capacity building training by our company, there are like 40% of women farmers participate. They are smart and determined, and they have really they are strongly and deeply engaged in the value chain in an active way. And they, however, there's one thing about the women within our value chain. Although they are very competitive and they have
cái việc mà
high value and high ethic, but however, when it comes to responsibilities in the agreement with the company, they do not take care. They do not in charge of the contract. They push it to their husband.
Đi làm thuê, làm mướn, đi hái hại thì trên đây mọi người nhìn những cái hình ảnh mà bà con nông dân người ta cười. Thứ nhất là cười là vì sao, vì hay họ tham gia được cái quá trình thu hái thu hoạch thì họ đảm bảo được có thu nhập. Và
and also besides the participation of the men and women farmers, we also provide the employment to employee who acts as the harvester, as the pickers of the materials, and we also try to create a positive impact on the income in terms of the income and in terms of the fair in employment and in other issues.
Trong cái việc mà lao động sản xuất thì nó nhiều hơn và họ tự tin đi ra ngoài hơn.
Also, during the partnership with our company, we
những cái người nông dân người ta tham gia trong cái chuỗi liên kết sản xuất bền vững chúng tôi thì họ có được cái tinh thần tốt hơn, sức khỏe tốt hơn khi mà họ
by the partnership with the farmers, we also make them become happier person with a better mental health, thanks to have a better income and thanks to the participation in the production and in the value chain. You know, when the people in the material area previously, when they work with the fertilizers and herbicides and as well as other chemical as a part of the planting, they have a worse health and they have to pay a lot for the health care. However, when they work with us, they have to grow things in a organic way. And due to this, they will have a better health. They do not have to get access to the chemicals and fertilizers.
khi mà họ tham gia họ quyết định cái việc họ dành phí để hàng năm họ đi kiểm tra sức khỏe hoặc là
And
họ thêm cái thực phẩm bổ sung chất
and
cho họ thì
by
đó là những cái điều mà chúng tôi đã
collaborating with
đã
us,
làm
the
được nhưng mà
farmers
vẫn
in
chưa
our
có
value chain,
cụ hóa
they
một
have
cách
a better
dễ dàng.
income and they have the better
thì hiện tại cái first
economic
slide
gains,
của
and they
thì
can
đó
use
là
this
những cái điểm
money
mà chúng
to
tôi đã
pay
làm
for
được
the
mà chúng
health
tôi vẫn
care, to the health, the regular health
chưa
check.
biết nó bình
That is the
chuẩn bị
way
nó ra cụ thể hóa như nào.
we think we
Còn
are
hiện tại trong doanh
contributing
nghiệp của
to
chúng tôi thì
leveraging the
thực sự là
quality of
may mắn
life of the
may
people
mắn
in our value chain.
và cũng sự nỗ lực thì hầu hết là doanh nghiệp chúng tôi là nữ quyền.
And about
lãnh đạo cho tới chất lượng
about
thì
the
hầu hết là
employment
hội
and
đồng
the
bảo an
leadership
dân
of the
quyền, tức
company,
là
we can
các
say
cơ
that
quan
we
làm
are
nhà
a
nước.
really women-led business.
Trong doanh nghiệp của chúng tôi
100%
là
of
phụ
the
nữ
main
chiếm
managers
hết là
and of the main
65,7%.
managers
Và hàng năm
are
thì doanh
women.
nghiệp chúng tôi là
And
thu
when it
doanh
comes
thu
to
chúng tôi khoảng hơn 100 tỷ thôi,
employment
thì
rate,
cái
we
sự
have
đóng góp của
60
họ
or to
phụ nữ
60
trong doanh nghiệp chúng tôi
no
chiếm đâu đó
60 to
70 đến 85%
65% of employees
doanh
are
thu của
women.
chúng tôi rồi. Thì trong doanh nghiệp của chúng tôi vẫn tổ chức các cái
And we
chưa có nhiều cái hoạt động lắm
we
cho cái việc mà
take a part of our
sâu về cho
profit
tinh thần phụ nữ hay là quan tâm tới đời
to
sống nhiều,
invest
nhưng mà chúng
in
tôi
the
vẫn thực hiện được những
mental
việc
health care of the
sức
women
khỏe
employee
khám hàng năm định
and
kỳ
to
cho
provide the
doanh
regular
nghiệp.
health
Nhưng mà
check
phụ nữ chúng tôi ưu
for
tiên
the
hơn là chúng tôi có
employee.
những cái
And we also provide more benefits for the
mục
women
riêng
employee.
dành cho chị em phụ nữ để mà kiểm tra sức khỏe định kỳ hàng năm để mà hỗ trợ họ khi mà
That
họ
is
có
we
sức khỏe có vấn đề gì thì đều
that
được
is we
phát hiện sớm và
allocate
điều trị sớm.
a
Đấy, thì đây là những cái vùng
some
mà
money
cái
some money
slide
and
đó là cái
some
vùng mà chúng tôi đã có làm
supportive
việc
for the
và đã
women to
có
do the regular health
cái
care health
nông
check.
sản chúng tôi thu mua, chúng tôi làm việc hợp tác. Thì những cái chúng tôi thấy là những cái địa bàn chúng tôi hoạt động nó khá là rộng như thế này thì
We've been working with
cái
material
công cụ
areas in like in so
WEE
many
cái cách mà để chúng tôi
provinces.
tính toán
And
được
thanks
và chúng
to
tôi
the
thu thập được
BTP
cái thông
WEE
tin mà
tool,
từ
it helped us
để
a
mà
lot to
tạo cái sự
collect
công
and
bằng
calculate the
về phụ
information
nữ tôn giáo thì
to understand
nó
our
khó khăn
impact
như thế nào
better
khi mà áp dụng công
and
cụ
to
này không. Thì thực
analyze
sự
and get
tôi
to
rất
know
mong
the
được
difficulties, the
thăm dò sâu
barriers
hơn
of
vào cái dự
our
án này
execution
và thực
in
sự
the
mong các anh
BTP
chị nhiều hơn
WEE
để chúng tôi
execution of the women
càng ngày càng làm tốt hơn, áp dụng
gender
tốt hơn trong
equality
xã hội
program,
trong
and
việc
we
áp
would
dụng
love
trong cái
to
việc bình đẳng
get
giới.
a better
Để chúng tôi
engaged
có được những cái thông
in
tin
a longer time with
chính
GRAISEA
xác nhất,
2
minh bạch hơn
and
như sản phẩm
the
của
women
thương nhân
economic
đi ra thị trường của quốc tế
economic
cũng như là
empowerment program,
thị trường
so that we can
thế giới người ta
refine
nhận được.
and
Chúng tôi có làm và đã hỗ
improve
trợ
our
cho chị em phụ nữ.
performance in
Thì cảm
supporting
ơn
women.
cảm ơn các
Thank you so
anh
much,
chị
Miss Oanh
em
and
mà đã
everyone
lắng nghe
in
từ nãy
this
giờ
room to
chia sẻ
listen to
của tôi.
our stories.
Cảm ơn chị Thương. Như các anh
Thank
chị
you
đã
so
thấy
much,
rằng là
Miss
trong khối
Hương.
doanh nghiệp thì
And
Minh
within
và
the
Transformational
four
là những
enterprises,
đơn vị mà đã có một cái hành
we see
trình trải
that
nghiệm áp dụng cái bộ công
um,
cụ này trong một thời
um,
gian tương đối dài. Còn VPEP cũng như là bên Vinasummit thì là
within
những đơn
the
vị mà
GRAISEA 2
tham gia
program in
cái lứa
Vietnam,
số best
Chapakusapa
chúng tôi.
and
Và các
Beijing
anh chị cũng nhìn thấy
are
rằng
the
là cái động
first
cơ
two
cho cái bộ công cụ trong doanh
enterprise
nghiệp thì là rất
to
là mạnh mẽ.
enter the
Bây
project,
giờ
and they
cái vấn
have
đề là
executed
thực
the
ra là
WE
để triển
plan
khai được
for
nó
like
là nó không
2
có dễ.
years.
Triển
However,
khai được cái bộ
the
công cụ thì
VPEP
nó cũng
is
sẽ góp phần giúp cho các anh chị
the
có một cái
VPEP
động lực
and
để chúng ta
Vinasummit has
và
just
doanh nghiệp
entered
xem xét để xem
in
mình
the
nên
last
tạo ra
year.
cái hoạt động gì
So
liên quan đến đảm bảo cái quyền bình đẳng cho phụ nữ cũng như là trang
So
quyền cho phụ nữ.
the
Đồng
tool
thời
really
thì
help
là nó
enterprise
cũng
to
từng bước một
get to know and assess what
để có thể
impact they are
trong cái hành
making
trình
on
này chúng ta
women
có thể
and
thực
men,
hiện được
and they will
cái
give also
cái mục tiêu mà
guidance
chúng ta đang
and the
đặt ra.
recommendation for us to
Thì tiếp theo đây thì buổi làm việc này
improve
chúng tôi
our
cũng muốn giới
practice
thiệu một cái công ty
to
mà
boost
cũng
gender
đã có
equality
rất là nhiều
within the
những cái
enterprise
nỗ
value
lực
chain.
trong cái việc mà chuyển đổi để trao quyền cho phụ nữ. Tuy
Last
nhiên
but not
thì
least,
nó cũng
I
là
would
một
love to
đơn vị
have
mới tham gia cái bộ
the
tham gia áp dụng bộ công nghệ là bộ công cụ
participation
này
of Miss Lin
thì
from
nó cũng là một
Vinasummit,
cái trải
who is
nghiệm của
the
một đơn vị mới.
direct
Thì rất là
executor
mong các anh các
of
chị
the
lắng nghe
WE2
bài trình
program
bày của
in
với sự
Vinasummit
trình bày của chị Liên là
with
trưởng
the
phòng thẩm
presentation
vấn
of
chất
Miss
lượng
Lương.
của Vinasummit. Xin mời chị Liên.
Vâng ạ, em xin cảm ơn chị Oanh, cảm ơn chị
Ladies and
Lisa
gentlemen,
đã tổ
thank
chức
you, Miss
và
Wang,
tài trợ.
Miss
Cảm ơn
Lisa,
các
and
chị đã
everyone
tham
to
gia
give
cái
me
buổi
a
chia sẻ ngày
podium
hôm
to
nay.
stay
Và
and share about
Vinasummit xin
our
được chia
execution
sẻ
of the BTP
một
WEE.
chút thông tin
And
về doanh nghiệp cũng
Vinasummit
như là cái
would
cơ
love
hội
to
thông qua
share
dự
some
án và cái cơ hội được
background
tham gia
information on
về
our
cái
enterprise
bộ công
and
cụ đo lường
our
giới của doanh nghiệp.
information
Thì
regarding
trước hết mình
the
xin chia sẻ
participation of
sơ
the
qua
project.
về doanh nghiệp. Vinasummit thì được thành lập từ năm 2012.
Vinasun
Và
is
Nguyên ơi, bởi vì thời gian của mình cũng có hạn ấy, cho nên là mình cũng
Vâng
có
ạ.
thể ngắn gọn về doanh nghiệp một chút.
Dạ, vâng ạ. Được thành lập năm 2012 với cái sứ
The
mệnh
Transformative was established in
người
2012,
dân tộc thiểu
and
số
we have
để
the
nâng cao cái
mission
thu nhập
to
cho bà con
be with the
và song hành với họ
rural
để tạo
and
ra cái sản phẩm chất lượng
minor
cao
ethnic
mang thương hiệu của
community
Việt Nam cung cấp
to
cho
improve
cái
their income
người
and
tiêu dùng trong nước cũng như xuất khẩu.
quality of
Thì
life
với
from
cái câu
the
chuyện của
star
doanh nghiệp
anise
thì
and
nó cũng
cinnamon.
dài nên là
The
mình
story
cũng
of
không thể
our
chia sẻ ở đây.
enterprise
Mình chỉ xin
is
giới thiệu sơ qua
long.
là doanh nghiệp đã xây dựng một cái chuỗi giá trị theo cái chứng nhận chất lượng quốc tế
We have
để sản phẩm của
successfully
doanh nghiệp có
developed a
thể cung cấp
material
ra các cái tiêu chuẩn
area
quốc tế
and
mang
value
lại cái
chain
giá trị cao hơn,
in order to provide
trả
to
lại cái sức lao
the
động
international
tốt
market
hơn cho người nông dân, người công nhân ở nhà máy.
and deliver a better life
Thị trường
and
chính
better
của công
living,
ty là
better
châu Âu,
income
Mỹ,
for
Nhật
the
Bản và Hàn
employees
Quốc.
and the
Các cái thương hiệu lớn mà công
farmers.
ty đang liên kết đó là các cái hãng nổi tiếng
We
có thương hiệu hàng trăm năm. Và
we
cái lộ
are
trình phát triển của
participating
công
in
ty
major
là
markets
từ
like
năm
America, Europe,
2012
Korea,
khi
and
thành lập doanh
Japan
nghiệp thì chúng tôi
as
đã hướng
well.
đến cái kinh
We
doanh đa cấp và
associate
liên kết
with
với
big
các cái
brand
hội lập
customers
doanh nghề
like the
để
Bombay
tạo ra
Sapphire,
các cái chuỗi giá trị bền
Pernod
vững.
Ricard,
Đến năm
etc.
2017 thì nhà máy đạt tiêu
And
chuẩn BRC của chúng tôi
we
đi
have
vào
a
hoạt động
long
và
story
hiện
of
nay
how we evolved.
đang cung
That
cấp
is from
lớn cho các thị
2012 we
trường nhập
established,
khẩu
and
khó tính trên thế giới.
to
Lộ trình phát triển của
2015 we
công ty đến
decided
quý
that
2
we are an
2026 chúng tôi sẽ
inclusive
IPO
business.
tạo
In
thành
2017,
cái
we
doanh nghiệp
operated
niêm yết trên
our
sàn
in
chứng
buy
khoán để
factory in the
minh bạch
middle of the
các
material
cái
area, and we are on the way
thông tin
to
doanh nghiệp,
IPO. That is to make our
các cái giá trị
our
mà công ty đang tạo ra đối với
make
cái
our
chuỗi kinh doanh của mình,
enterprise
đó
to
là
the security
hiện
market.
nay chúng tôi đang liên kết với 3.000 hộ nông dân để xây
We
dựng
are now
chuỗi giá trị hữu cơ cho
associating
hơn 4.000
and
hectare.
leveraging a
Phần lớn
partnership
những
with
cái người nông dân trong chuỗi giá
3,000
trị là đồng bào
households
dân tộc thiểu
and
số ở
farmers
Bắc Cạn,
in
Lạng
Vietnam.
Sơn, Yên Bái, Lào Cai,
Most of them are
với
in
hơn 90% là lao động nữ, đặc
Lạng
biệt
Sơn,
là
Yên
những
Bái,
người
Lào
nông
Cai
dân
provinces,
mà chúng
which
tôi
are
đang
the
hướng
very
đến
remote
đó
area in
thì người ta
Vietnam.
cũng có cơ hội vào nhà máy để làm công nhân, bởi vì nhà máy
Besides,
công ty thị
as
trường
we
là tại Bangkok,
established
các vùng nguyên liệu. Vì
two
vậy thế nên
factories
là
in the rural
cái việc
area,
mà nâng
we have
cao cái khả
created
năng được tiếp xúc với kiến thức khoa học kỹ thuật, được chế biến, được
employment for the rural
tham dự
people and
nhiều hơn
employees.
các cái hoạt động của doanh nghiệp, cũng giúp cho người nông dân và người công nhân của công
And
ty thêm ấm
during
no
the
và hạnh phúc hơn,
partnership
họ tăng
the
thêm nhiều các cái giá trị
farmers,
trong cái
we also
cộng
engage
đồng của
them
họ.
with many activities and development programs so that to increase their well-being
Khi mà tham gia
and
cái chương trình
happiness.
bình đẳng giới của dự án
When
thì
entering
chúng tôi đã nhận
this
thấy được
program,
rằng là cái này là cái
we
mà đã đi
recognize that
vào suốt trong cái
our
định hướng phát triển
enterprise
của doanh nghiệp rồi,
has been
và
executing the
việc
gender
mà tham gia
equality and women
vào
economic
cái
empowerment for a
dự
long time, but
án,
we
chúng tôi nhận được
are
rõ
not
hơn cái vai trò bình đẳng giới của
totally
doanh nghiệp.
recorded,
Đặc biệt là
and
khi sử
the
dụng được
tool
công cụ thì
provided
chúng tôi đã có những cái đánh giá sâu
by the
sát hơn
project
về
has
những
made us
cái
to deliver
rõ
and
ràng
make
là những cái
some deep
còn thiếu sót, những cái mà
understanding
cần phải
and
bàn
deep
trong cái vấn đề phát triển
insights
giới
about
của doanh
on
nghiệp
what
mình.
we have done
Và
and
cái
what we
kinh nghiệm
should
mà
do
chúng tôi
to
tham gia
perform
trong quá
better
trình dự án
and
đấy
to
đã
make
giúp
better
cho chúng
practice.
tôi có nhận thức sâu sắc hơn từ ban lãnh đạo cho đến những
And by
người
participating in
quản
the
lý
GRAISEA 2
cấp trung,
project,
những người công nhân, những người nông dân
the
có cái nhìn
awareness
sâu
of
sát
the
hơn về
leaders
giới,
and
và những
seniors
cái định
and
kiến giới đã được đưa ra để phân tích và
executives
xem
of
xét,
our
và người
enterprise
ta hiểu
has
sâu
been
sắc hơn.
enhanced.
Giới ở đây không có
The
nghĩa là
staff with better
nữ phải
understanding,
quan tâm cao đến người phụ nữ, mà làm sao mà tạo bình đẳng giữa nam và nữ trong gia đình.
and we
Nam là
understand
trụ
it is
cột
not that we are
cách ứng xử của gia đình và cộng đồng.
prioritizing women,
Đó
but
là những
we
cái mà
are
đã giúp chúng tôi
creating
hiểu sâu
a
sắc hơn rất
flat
nhiều về cái vai trò của
a
giới và đáp
platform.
ứng
We are
giới
creating
trong doanh nghiệp và cộng đồng.
the
Thì
fair opportunity
chúng
for
tôi như
development
vậy
for
chia sẻ,
women.
bộ công cụ đã giúp doanh nghiệp đánh giá chính xác về thực trạng giới của doanh nghiệp. Đồng thời chúng tôi đã xây dựng được cái kế hoạch cải thiện tình
The
trạng giới của doanh nghiệp.
toolkit has
Cái kế
helped
hoạch này đã
businesses
giúp chúng tôi
fairly
có ổn định được
accurately
cái lực
assess
lượng
the
lao động tốt
reality of
hơn,
gender in the
từ đó
business.
tăng hiệu quả
At
về
the
sản xuất
same
kinh doanh
time,
hơn.
we
Ví
developed
dụ
a
như
plan
là
to
trong
improve the
doanh
gender
nghiệp
status of the
thì
business
trước đây thì
and
người phụ nữ
it
đôi khi
help
là
us get a better
họ
quality
trực
labor
tiếp
force
đi lên đồi và
and
trồng
increase
trọt
the
để thu
production
hái.
and business
Tuy nhiên
efficiency of
là
enterprise.
cái người mang đi bán thì lại là người đàn ông, và những cái người
For
mà đứng tên
example,
trong
we witnessed
danh
that
sách biên lại
in
người đàn ông.
our value chain,
Nhưng mà
the
khi
women
mà
will do
người đàn
most
ông
of
đi
the
bán
work
về
and all the
thì bao
labor.
giờ họ
They
cũng phải
are
chia
the
sẻ cho nhau về những cái
producer,
thông tin liên quan đến
they are the
thị
producer,
trường,
they are
liên quan
the
đến giá trị công nghiệp,
planter.
chia
However,
sẻ lợi ích ích kinh tế,
when
phân
the
bổ lợi ích
bring the materials to the market or to us. That is the man who did that, and the man can sometimes not thoroughly understand. And that is the reason why we have encouraged and engaged the participation of the women, and to make them understand that there should be some equal share of the workload, so that both men and women will participate and contribute to the work and the economic of the family. We also make some of the capacity building and talk with the men and women within our value chain in order to make them aware of the gender equality. I'd like to share a story about a story in Lào Cai. That when we make a when we organize a training session, what it is shared it is shared by a husband who is the husband of a group leader, a farmers group leader, that after they participate in the training, that is what I do. That including the picture, he's hanging the clothes and participating in the household tires. And thanks to the thanks to the sharing and to the awareness raising made by us, the men within the value chain, the men within the suppliers, they will have a better awareness of the gender issues and a better sharing of the household responsibilities. Thank you so much for your hearing. And thank you so much, Miss Liên. Thank you so much for your inspiring stories and sharing. And at the moment, we have followed the sharing of the four enterprises of the and the stories. That is how the story goes from the journey to the that is the way that you engage with the GRAISEA and CSIP, the way you implement and execute the BTP WEE tool, as well as your aspiration and your understand knowledge and your insight in improving the quality of the women, as well as the power and the position of the woman within the value chain. And, and I understand that that is not the end story here. It is just the start. It's just in the some starting point, and we know that the journey is still long, and we are still on the way of improving the women and promoting the women economic empowerment by the responsibility of the enterprises. Entering, we are coming to this section, to the open discussion session, and we believe that there are so many questions from the audience here, and in case you might want to have some further question, please just raise your hand and type your questions in the chat box, or so you
Có anh chị em nào có muốn câu hỏi ngay bây giờ không ạ? Vâng. Ở đây thì lúc nãy thì tôi có nhận được ở trong cái phần chat một số các câu hỏi của các anh chị em mình.
We have received certain questions. Certain questions of the chat. However, I believe that there are many questions to be answered already during the sharing of the enterprise, so that I'd love to hear more. That is the question of Mr. Cường. I'm so moved by Mr. C's sharing. That is the certain context of the rural area and remote area. We would love to have some. We have some question that I know that the women economic empowerment and gender equality intervention made by you is not something just on the surface. Your intervention is doing real. and contribute to the economic improvement and the position of the woman. However, I see that all the thing sharing is quite a smooth. It is something like all achievement, all of the triumph. So what is the difficulties? What is the barrier you face during the intervention of your enterprise women economic empowerment plan? And I also want to have some a question for Miss Liên. Miss Liên is in charge of a very transformational intervention towards women. And within your stories, you've mentioned the sharing of the responsibilities between women and men, between husband and wife. However, you know that there are the certain differences in the norms and in the mindset of the people of the minor ethnicity. So, what is your sharing? So what is your sharing regarding this? Mr. C, do you have some further sharing? I understand that you have discussed and you have make some deduction and some conclusion regarding the execution of the project and the key achievement. However, can you have any more sharing? I would love to share before the answering to Miss Phương question. During the journey to achieve gender equality, we have been working with Mr. Sơn, the consultant, a lot, and which really promotes our understanding and our know way how to do a lot. And for sure, beside all achievements and the positive impact, we faced with certain challenges. I have touched upon it previously that although the farmers they have some certain changes and transformation within their mind, but it is a long story to make them change their mindset completely. They've been living in the remote area for so long, and they've been accustomed and acquainted to the mindset and to the norms. So at the moment, despite the enterprise effort, although they conform and they follow the requirement of the enterprise to make the women as a signatory in the agreement contract. However, actually, within the family themselves, whether there is the contract or not, the man is always like the decision maker of the family, and it's not going to change for a short time. So what we are striking to do now is to share with them, to follow them up closely, and to gradually, step by step, change their mindset during our execution. And I managed my staff and let them know that when they work with the partners, uh, uh, the staff should promote the active action and active participation of the women. As the company see that the production and the planting management of the woman is so well, why don't we engage them more? In and all of this message, we are the business staff. We have to secure and to make a very close relationship with the farming households, so that they will hear. The gender equality requires each
phải kiên trì trong cái quá trình hoạt động của mình để tương tác với họ.
And to be patient and with our ongoing work. You know that via your story, we know that how we are trying to institutionalize the women economic empowerment during the working and the partnership with the farmers, and the compliance will result in the compliance will result in the obedience and the follow up of our policy. Thank you, Ms. Cường, for your very interesting question. I know that each ethnicity, they have their own culture, and we are working with northern ethnic minorities. How, and it is seen by us that before getting engaged in our partnership, they have their own culture norms. The man, the husband has a great decision maker power. However, actually, they take really few responsibility in the economic participation. That is really inequality. However, we cannot just use our urban mindset, our own mindset to analyze and judge it. You have to understand it deeply a little bit. It within a community, you see that if within the community you see that there's a balance of the role of the equality between the men and women, what we should do is to cherish and support them to do it better. But when you see that, but what we see, if the balance and the gender equality is not really, we should do some intervention in order to better that. We cannot say that all we are trying to prioritize women, to make women the best. But if we are just doing, it's gonna be it will have some counter effect. And what is our experience that you see where is the inequality, make some contribution, you make some intervention towards the gender equality and gender balance. And during doing this, you have to ensure that the husband, the man and is ensured with benefit too. Thank you. Miss Thương, we have some comment and maybe some question. Miss Thương, we are really following the guidance and support of IC and CSIP regarding the use of this benchmark. And I see that Bin Minh has shared that after the COVID-19, the enterprise is coping with a certain negative effect. The actual things that we are really care about, we have to focus on our business operation, about the sales, about the cash flow, and how, and with the face front obligation. So in order for the enterprise to have the commitment and to consistently engage with the farmers to work on gender equality and women's economic empowerment, there will be some certain problems. Can you share me more about the obstacles when you have to balance between the business operation, the business recovery, and the women economic empowerment? Miss Phương Anh, can you please answer to the question of the concern, Miss Thương? So from Miss Phương, we see that after we work in the in the industrial zone for a while. We
thay đổi mọi người hả? Anh chồng anh không thay đổi nhưng chị vợ thay đổi và lúc này nó bất bình đẳng thì anh chồng anh không theo kịp sự phát triển của chị vợ và thế là gia đình lục đục và chia tay.
well, there is some phenomenon in some family that we see, that is after a while, women of our community go to the factory to work, and she became a more beautiful person because she can better, she have the better income, and she can invest in the cosmetic and clothes. However, the husband, he doesn't change a bit, he doesn't have any improvement. Then the husband is jealous of the woman, and that brings into the family conflict. That is something witnessed, that it seems like women economic empowerment and gender equality is achieved, but actually there is some other side effect. So what is this? So what can we do about it? So Miss Wang shared that. How can we do, and what is your motivation to do the things that that is not really directly generating money, but they are just doing it. But then how you are just combining the economic and the economic and the gender equality issue in order to effectively execute the program. Can Miss Lisa have some sharing of your idea? Yes. Regarding the
can you hear about the question? Yeah. So Mrs. Thương have the question about the double challenge for the SME. The number one is that they need to grow the business in very tough situation now. And now there's a goal number two is how to ensure the gender inequality and the empower of women in the value chains. But sometimes is in ideal situation is that it can be aligned, but in reality that the business feel that somehow they think that they should concentrate on the business development, and how about the gender inequality and how we can to mainstream the women in empowerment and make sure that it's in line with the company growth plan. Yeah. Không nghe thấy được em ơi. Yeah, Lisa, can you unmute? Lisa, I can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Lisa, can you unmute?
Can you unmute?
Yeah, sorry. Are you asking me the question or somebody else? Sorry.
I thought interpret what the Thương raised question, and I think that you may have some observation and feedback to that question. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I got the translation right, but my insight, I was really happy to hear the sharing of our four leaders from social enterprises and inclusive businesses, or what you call social impact businesses, because I think one of the insights that I got from the discussion is that all of the entrepreneurs were actually committed to implement women's economic empowerment and gender equality on one hand, because there was a demand from their market, I think, which is directly related to the need for them to show that they were actually a socially responsible business impacting on women, in order for them to actually be a continuous partner of their own market, of fair trade, or even the ethical markets that they are serving. And then there was also, I think, very much a good evidence that in many cases, in at least two of the social of the enterprises, that the women's participation had a direct impact on the productivity and innovation within the operations of the enterprise, that it was not actually an added burden, but it was actually helping to improve productivity and innovation, because the women were the actual workers and were the actual participants in the value chain, but the men were being pushed to represent them in the transactions with the company, right? And the trainings of the company. So I think that those insights show that women's economic empowerment and gender equality initiatives are not necessarily a burden, but are actually directly related to improving business operations and the revenues of business and serving markets, responsible markets of businesses. Maybe that's my take on the question. And in relation to the impact of COVID-19, I think we were just sensitive to, ensuring that we also help the companies study the impact of COVID-19 on their women and men small-scale producers. That's why when we tried to work with them, we were conscious about, the timing, I think, and we were conscious about how we can we can work together in an effective way. In some instances, I think there were some delays because of the priorities, but I'm really happy that in all the 4 cases that have been presented, that despite the impact of COVID-19, I think there was a commitment to push through with the pursuit of the benchmarks in a useful way. My last point is that, to me, many of the entrepreneurs and the leaders of the inclusive businesses that were actually presented here were wanting to really, or have already been working on women's economic empowerment and gender equality. But their problem was they didn't know how to systematize the measurement. They did not know how to document and document in a way that would be, understandable to their stakeholders. And I think the practice of the benchmarks scorecard as a planning, monitoring, and evaluation tool helped them to systematize documentation and communication of their impact on women, as well as a better understanding, I think. No, it became a learning tool as well for them to actually see how they were the weaknesses and the strengths in terms of the interventions they were doing on the women, in their respective value chains. I think that's all I can share, and I'm really happy and impressed with the work that has been done by our partner social enterprises and inclusive businesses, and also the very hard work that CSIP has done with them. And I am really happy that I think we will have very good cases to actually document and to show for our GRAISEA project in Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Dạ, cảm ơn chị Lisa với cả những cái chia sẻ vừa rồi của chị Lisa. Không biết là anh Sơn thì có cái phản hồi gì với cả sau khi.
Mr. Sun, do you have any other feedback or comments regarding the topics of this talk? We'd love to have the 3 minor comments. Firstly, regarding the women economic empowerment within the value chain. It is not something that is not a burden to the enterprise, but actually it is just some, we are still doing our job, we are still doing the business management and operation. However, during our management, we identify and target the difference, the different problem and the gender related issue, and we initiate the solution and execute the solution. It is not something that is differently from the value chain, differently from the business operation, but it's some add-in, and it creates the extra, create some extra benefit and value for the enterprise. It's just a burden. Secondly, when we talk about the women economic empowerment, we have to consider another issue that is beside the agriculture value chain. We should consider on other. We should have to focus on the alternative income in order to diversify the source of income to the women, so that we can optimize their potentials and they can develop the short-term and long-term income generation method. And the final thing is that when we start with the women economic empowerment, there will be some certain obstacles and certain barriers at first. However, what we should do is that we start from the minor step. We should work on the in hand, on the practical and integrated solutions for taking a larger giant step. There is no standard that there is no standard, or there is no milestone to say that any intervention or any solution is the most perfect. However, what we can do is to leverage and to make use of our available resource to boost the potential of women and men in our value chain.
Vâng, cảm ơn anh Sơn. Không biết là các ở đây thì trong cái khán phòng còn lại ở đây thì không biết anh chị còn ai có cái câu hỏi gì nữa không?
Thank you, Mr. Sơn. Is there any other question or any other question? I see that within the chat box of this Zoom session, there is some there is a question that how the program can attract more enterprise, and how the enterprise can get into this program. And I have to honestly share with you that this is a pilot program, and we firstly engaged the 4 pioneering SIB working with us within our network. And previously, when we are seeking for the participating SIBs, we have research for over like 60 enterprises, and to identify and identify the most suitable one. And we see that most of our enterprises are really enthusiastic with the gender equality and women economic empowerment. However, many of them are still struggling to know where we are and to know what to do. And based on this program, it is for us to analyze that where we are and what we can do in order to avoid the struggling and to make it the best for our women economic empowerment within the enterprise. BTP WEE and scorecard has been shared to us within this program. We will share with the participants here in order to make you have a better insight, a more thoroughly understanding the tool. And we see that it is our observation that sometimes in some many other projects, the gender equality and women's economic empowerment is just like a movement. It is not really something is doing right and execute to create the practical and real impact. That's the reason why we are doing this program, and we are developing the BTP WEE tool so as to make it real and to make it the real impact, and to help and assist the enterprise to understand themselves, assess themselves, and to embed the women economic empowerment and gender equality within their business execution. Thank you so much for your participation today. And in order to talk today, we'd love to have some further comment and some synthesis of Miss Saf, who is the gender specialist of IC. Please, Miss Saf, come to the podium and share your synthesis.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I think I have a very difficult assignment this afternoon because it's the end of the day and the discussion and sharing has been so rich and diverse. But please allow me to first thank all our sharers and presenters for, just sharing your experience, and we've learned so much from what you've shared. And also thank you for to everybody who has stayed on with the call. This afternoon, we started the sharing with Lisa, sharing the experience of the 3 countries. But allow me to focus the synthesis on the sharing of our partners from Vietnam. So I've kind of divided some of the insights, or I call it really results, early results. And you'll see here in the slide, there are some related to the enterprise, so at the enterprise level. And then the second set is more with the community, or particularly our small producers, and of course the women. So let's start with at the enterprise level. So I'm calling this towards becoming a gender responsive enterprise. So I heard from the 4 enterprises that because of the project, there is now a greater appreciation for gender equality and women's economic empowerment within the enterprise itself. And this is at the management level, but also at the staff level. Earlier, Dr. Dr. Sun mentioned like a designation of a gender focal point, which also facilitated the work. Maybe initially some of you did not have a gender focal point, but maybe because of the project, you had to assign someone. But I guess when we are talking about gender and it is important that we have somebody looking out for this in our enterprise. Investing in a gender assessment or analysis is also part of becoming a gender responsive enterprise. Maybe for some of you, this is your first time to do something like this. Like you didn't know that such a tool existed. But I hope you also appreciate its use in, improving our understanding or appreciation of where the women are in our own company, where the women are in our value chains, and what are the issues and concerns that they face, so that we can design programs and initiatives that are responsive to their needs and to their priorities. As part of the project, you also developed your WE action plan. And again, this is part of becoming gender responsive. I know 2 of the enterprises are just starting. So we're also looking forward to your implementation of the WE action plan. And, just seeing this through even beyond the GRAISEA project. And for those who haven't even started with a reaction plan, I heard earlier, some of you are already investing in, things like physical and mental health of your women employees. So this is already part of being gender responsive, because we need to start with our own enterprise, right? So having these investments already there, even without the reaction plan, is very good. So next, I'll discuss a little bit about what I've heard with regards to how you have engaged and empowered small producers, particularly women. I did see some sharing about increased incomes. I didn't hear any specific numbers, but maybe this is something we can, get the data on, because it seems that you are. It's hard because sometimes increased incomes, there are many factors that contribute to increased incomes. But I'm happy to hear that you also feel that we and gender equality is contributing in some way to these increased incomes. And there was one enterprise that mentioned it's because of the women now able to do online sales and marketing, and that is why there's increased incomes. A lot of you also shared, that now you have better relationships with your supplier communities, and even the communities themselves have a better appreciation of gender equality and WEE because of your interventions. From Dr. Son's sharing, he mentioned also these following, results. So livelihood options that are adapted to the needs of women. I like the story earlier about how supplier contracts are now signed by both husband and wife. I think this is really important, very empowering for the women. Stories also about safe spaces or better working conditions for women, both in the farm and the factory. So also happy to hear about initiatives along that line. Improved group management skills of women. And my personal favorite is greater self-confidence or better communication skills. This one sometimes it's not given enough attention, I feel. Do you know that public speaking is one of the most feared tasks or assignments? So if a woman can get up in front of a crowd of people or even online and they are better able to communicate, and because they are that more confident, I think this is a really good indicator of empowerment. So I hope you will agree with me on that. So I have one more slide, and this is just summarizing some of the lessons and recommendations that I've heard for moving forward. So at the community level, I heard recognition of the importance of local culture and norms. So many of you are also working in ethnic communities. Some of you expressed that there's language barriers and gender constraints and stereotypes. But this is part of our reality, right? And yes, we are advocating for gender equality and WEE, but we also need to be mindful of the local culture and norms. So that is really something important. And Mr. C also mentioned that we have to be patient when we are addressing these norms, and the work cannot be done overnight, right? It is really a journey. At the enterprise level, I've heard some reflections on the importance of documenting enterprise policies, including gender equality and WEE-related policies. And this is important not only for yourselves internally, but also to your external stakeholders, such as your international markets. And Lisa spoke a little bit about this during the open forum earlier. So yes, our stakeholders, both internal and external, want to know and want to hear about our work also in gender and in women's economic empowerment and how this has contributed to our bottom line. And we need to be able to document and tell that story. Some of you also mentioned the need for gender and WEE expertise or capacity within your enterprise. You can assign somebody as a gender focal point, but if that person does not have the capacity to fulfill that role, then it will be very hard. So I hope this is something that maybe moving forward, we can also see how we can improve this capacity within our enterprise. And then also, finally, the need for top leadership support, which means investment for gender equality and WEE. So we need to translate that greater appreciation for WEE into real action and investments by our top leaders. So I know this is also a challenge, and it also means us who have had some experience, how do we communicate and convince, our managers that this is really something, worth investing in. Finally, I heard some recommendations more with regards to the benchmarks, to the scorecard. So there was a point about considering integrating IT innovation and application. If you recall in the scorecard, there's actually an indicator related to community-based innovations or CBIs. And I feel that IT innovation can be part of this. But personally, I think this is a good point that we maybe highlight information technology, because it is a skill and an expertise that we also need to look at. And finally, also happy to hear that there are recommendations to integrate BTP WEE and AVCs as a tool in the business operations, and that most of you feel that gender equality and women's economic empowerment is good for business. It is good for business recovery. Yes. And so I hope that through the sharing, some of you who may not are yet as familiar with the tool can, well, a lot of you have already showed a lot of interest. So yeah, with this, I hope you will even be more inspired to come and join us and, empower more women in Vietnam. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, staff, and for the summarizing the very interesting and the key point of our discussion this afternoon. Thank you so much. Và cảm ơn chị Seth đã tổng kết lại một số những cái điểm trọng tâm mà chúng ta đã trao đổi vào cái buổi chiều ngày hôm nay ở đây trong cái tọa đàm này. Một lần nữa thì thay mặt cho ban tổ chức, chúng tôi rất là cảm ơn các anh chị đã dành thời gian tham gia, và hai cái message mà chúng tôi chỉ mong muốn là
we would love to thank you for your participation today. There's two takeaways. The first one is there's two things to take away. The first thing is that we talked about gender equality for a very long time. However, however, if you and it's the awareness raising is a very crucial part of the gender equality, economic empowerment. However, we cannot just stop that. It is just like the very first level in order to practically execute the women-related and gender equality program. We have a great demand recently. The demand and the requirement of enterprises, of corporation and partners for the responsible business and women and gender equality during the operation of the business. Therefore, in order to we really appreciate the BTP WEE tool because it helps us do that. It helps us calculate, assess, and leverage our impact related to women economic empowerment. I know that the story that we've heard today, many of which are really inspiring.
Nhưng mà tất cả nó đều phải thuộc vào
related to the application of the BTP WEE tool. However, in order for the actual result and the actual life-changing and achievement in the future, there should be action and in the coming time that we will continue our effort in the field of women economic empowerment and gender equality. We are really happy once again to welcome you all to the talk today, and we would please give me your comment and your question via our communication and email. Thank you so much. I see Mr. Lê Văn Sơn as the consultants and the 4 enterprise come today and to share with the audience and community your effort and your lesson learned in order to do it better. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a very great day today.
Thank you, everyone.
So it makes us come to the final part of this talk today. Thank you, everyone.
Chiều mai lại được gặp Chiều Anh.
Đúng rồi, đấy chiều nay mình lại làm